Hi everyone, this is Ben. I'm just a quick message off the top. I'm sorry that the episode is a little late. There was an electrical fire in my building on Sunday evening when I was planning on editing. They had to evacuate the building, and now there's no power in the building, and there won't be any power for another 4 days. So this is just a apology for that, and also a warning to any Toronto renters. Do not rent with Krekel Investments. The name Krekel, it sounds almost fecal, and it's a shit company. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. They might leave you high and dry with no power, on the eve of my business job. How my business mindset is all thrown off because of this. Anyway, enjoy the Godfather episode where we don't talk about the Godfather for until an hour in. So just so you know, but also I can't download any music. You'll have to imagine Nino Rota score. So just imagine da 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 da, right? Ya da 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 da. Godfather, Godfather Part I, 1972, Paramount releasing. By Francis Ford Coppola.
Based on a book by Mario.
Super Mario.
Puzo. We got windscreens on the microphones, so now we can, It's a good thing we didn't have these for the Pier Paolo Pasolini.
It's still going to sound terrible.
Poo-poo, pee-pee.
Papa. Pasolini.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, for the Godfather series, we can really lay into the pronunciation of Pacino.
And Puzo.
And Puzo.
Yeah, no, fuck that guy.
Puzo.
Clown.
Pacino. Yeah. Do you know what Al Pacino's real name is?
Chad Farthouse.
No, it's not.
Joke.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Wait, does he say that about Al Pacino?
No, he says...
No, that's his persona.
He says... people ask him, why doesn't he get a stage name? Because Zach Galifianakis is such a stupid name. And he says, Zach Galifianakis is a stage name. Right. His real name is Chad Farthouse.
I do like it.
It's a good joke. Yeah.
Live at the Purple Onion.
Yeah, everybody. I think it's from that.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's old now, I guess, but it's
so
still
old.
really good. It's his full name is Alfredo.
Oh,
yeah, that's funny.
And Alfredo
Pacino.
Oh,
yeah. Alfredo Pacino. No, Pacino. And now I've said his name so many times that it doesn't sound right.
It's lost all meaning.
Pachinko, the game.
Yeah.
Alfredo. We're really riffing hard. Yeah, it's the Godfather, right? We've got so many great riffs.
We went 0 to 60.
Yeah, Alfredo Pachinko. Ha ha ha. That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. We'd like to announce that the podcast has been picked up by
Paramount.
Paramount. Yeah, Paramount Plus. All of those terrible ads for Paramount Plus
only $39.99 per month.
Yeah. Oh God.
Sign up, guys.
What's even on that?
I don't actually know how much it is.
The Godfather.
Well, the Godfathers would be, and they have the Jackass movies, those sons of bitches, because they were all on Netflix. But now the only ones on Netflix are the .5s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's still fun.
Of course.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do Jackass. But
the real heads have the Walmart Jackass DVD collection that has everything, all the .5s, all the obviously not number 4, but
actually
all the good stuff.
Speaking of Jackass, I don't know if you've heard recently what's been going on with Bam Margera.
Oh, I try not to pay attention to these such matters.
Okay,
they depress me.
Yeah, it is.
Tell me.
He's on the run from the police. He's got an arrest warrant in Pennsylvania, and he's on the run with, I guess, his girlfriend and his girlfriend's child. And Jess Margera, his brother, was on Twitter saying he's changed a lot since he developed a meth habit. It's possible he's on meth and on the lam.
Oh.
Bam on the lam. MTV coming to MTV. So terrible to joke, but
Bam a lam. Hey, black baby. No, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Especially because it seemed like after the fourth movie and how he wasn't involved, and it seemed like maybe he was kind of
focusing
getting
on
it together
skating
a little bit. Yeah. There was that.
He had a lot of goodwill.
Short Vice documentary.
Yeah, I
about
watched
him,
it.
Yeah, I watched it too. Even though I try not to watch Vice either.
Yeah, Stay in the Sun is kind of over. Maybe.
What do we said on another episode, like Canada's coolest, news organization, founded by Canada's coolest dude. Yeah.
Shane Gillis and
Shane Gillis.
and Gavin McInnes and Gillis.
Yeah,
I'd watch that.
Awful.
What was the actual Vice founder's name? Shane. It was Shane something.
Yeah, it's Shane. Yeah, Shane something.
And then Gavin McInnes.
We all know his name. It's the name that will live in infamy. Yikes. But we don't need to go on any more Proud Boy riffs on the show.
Not anymore.
Yeah. We're talking about some different Proud Boys.
Italian Americans.
A family of Proud Boys.
But
they make your mama proud.
Thoughts and prayers to Bam. We
hope you're
okay.
Yeah,
come on the pod.
Yeah, come on the pod.
We'll smoke you out, bro.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, no, that
weed.
Weed is safe. Yeah. Nothing bad's ever happened because of weed.
Nothing.
Certainly not in my own life.
Oh my God.
New franchise.
Oh, my favorite time of the year.
It
happens like 8 times in the year.
It keeps happening. Yeah, we keep recording the show. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have that again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We have the new franchise smell.
Yeah.
Mamma mia.
Oh, God, yeah. What does this franchise smell like to you?
It smells like family. It smells like Succession, not the TV show, but the word
process of choosing the next
heir.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It smells like the cinematography of Gordon Willis.
Is that the actual cinematography?
Yes.
Nice.
Chiaroscuro. I don't know.
Okay.
That's how you say it, right?
I don't know what you're saying.
We'll get to that. You know what? And something right off the bat, this might be something of a looser episode than the Pasolini ones. I think when we started with Pasolini, we were thinking we got to really bring it for this. We got to do some research.
Maybe not everyone knows about Pasolini.
Exactly.
Everyone
People might not have seen these movies.
Everyone knows The Godfather. Everyone has an opinion on them.
You've seen The Godfather, right?
Surely.
If you're listening to this, you're definitely seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's seen it.
I think, to me, this movie smells like a big pot of bolonaise and shoe polish. For some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody is very sharp in this.
Yeah.
I also want to say off the bat that you might notice that my voice is a little hoarse today.
It's very Tom Waitsy.
Yeah. What was I doing again?
I don't know.
Pieces and a G-string, gooba gabba dooba. He's like, or when he's in that A Nighthawks at the Diner, that live album.
$2 hooker on a midnight train. Dancing with the mistress in the pouring rain. I just made that up.
That's
Thank
pretty
you.
good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, it's because
you're a weekend warrior now.
I'm a weekend warrior. I got a job. I got a new job at a sales company.
Yeah, Business Ben.
Business Benny.
Benny Business.
Business Benny right now is my new persona. And then if I still work there, I think I said on Twitter, if I'm working there in 6 months, then I get to be Benny Business.
Right.
But honestly, I think if I'm there after a month,
you're going to be Benny
I'll
Business.
be Benny Business.
Well, you came in here today and you just started doing the Alec Baldwin monologue from Glengarry Glen Ross at me. You were like, always be closing Alex. And I'm like, Ben, what's going on? How have you been?
How about you always be closing the door on your way out, huh?
Ooh,
you jerk.
Diane Keaton.
That's pretty good. All these office puns and milquetoast jokes that I will make with my coworkers to show them I'm the funny guy in the office.
Yeah.
No, it's a big change for me because I've never had an office job or a corporate job or a job where you have to wear like a suit. So I've been learning how to do that. And
I saw you. I was getting on the subway leaving my office.
yes,
and,
we had a sliding doors moment.
Yeah, you were on the platform and you waved at me, and you were in your suit, and you're looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Pretty Corleone.
Yeah, well, my
Benny Corleone.
Benny Corleone. My dad was talking about because so I'm the other thing, aside from just like not having a lot of professional experience, like white collar job experience, all of this corporate stuff and sales stuff is very much like opposed to the kind of person that I am.
Yeah.
My beliefs.
I was pretty surprised when you told me.
Well, here's the situation, and I'll be really honest on the podcast, as we always strive to be.
Brutally honest and vulnerable.
Yeah,
That's our
and
family crest.
This is both of those things.
Yeah.
I really needed a job. I had been struggling finding a job. I got the interview. I got the next interview. I got the next interview. I made it through the process.
Congratulations.
And I was not in a position to turn it down. And so I have to just do it. And I'm just going to try to do it as well as I can. And it's like literally it's Glengarry Glen Ross. It's door-to-door sales.
Get those leads.
They've already talked about the leads. These are the leads, the Glengarry leads.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get them.
They're just like on cue cards and
We'd
someone's
be wasting
filing
them on
cabinet.
people like you. Yeah, he's Alec Baldwin doing his Trump, his awful Donald Trump. These are the Glengarry leads. We've heard great things about these leads.
Did you see me in production of Glengarry Glen Ross at Queen's? I was in one.
I auditioned for that.
Oh, really?
I never auditioned for any play at Queen's.
But so you didn't see it out of spite?
No, I didn't know. I just didn't. I just didn't even know when it was on. That's so funny. I didn't know you were in it.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Who do you think I played?
My brother, David, friend of the pod.
Yeah, shout out to David.
Friend of the pod.
New father.
And a soon-to-be father. Who I'm sure will have a christening ceremony, not unlike the one depicted in The Godfather.
Ben, do you renounce Satan and all his sins?
Sure. I don't see why not.
Meanwhile, all your pod enemies are being executed. Like Griffin Newman gets like a... he's like Mo Green. He's like getting a massage and something.
Okay, if Griffin ever listens to this or anybody even,
that's not a threat.
We like Blank Check.
Yeah.
There are literally like podcasts like that are like that have these vendettas against other popular podcasts.
Yeah, we don't actually.
So lame.
Yeah,
we don't care
except for one.
Well, there is one that we don't like,
and we don't talk about.
We're not going to bring it up.
But yeah, in case you don't know, like Griffin Newman, we mentioned it a ton, but there's a show called Blank Check, and it's actually pretty good. And I was when I first started the pod with my ex-roommate, friend of the pod and guest Paul. When I told him the concept, he was like, "Oh, that's like kind of like Blank Check," and I was like, "What do you mean?" I thought I'd come up with like something super original, and he was of course not.
No, you didn't.
I know.
Sorry.
And he was like, they do basically that, but with directors' filmographies, and they talk about how they hit it big and then get a blank check to do whatever they want. And I was like, oh, that's a really great idea. That's far better than this
and
hell
now,
we've
like in their Patreon bonus episodes, they are doing franchises too.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for a while now, for years.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
I told you.
I push it out of my mind.
It's
I guess
all right. It's all right. Who knows where the podcast goes? Maybe at some point we realize, maybe we'll change the name, and it's like I like the franchise's name, but maybe eventually it'll be like the Alex and Ben Fun Time Movie Hour.
Movie exploitation.
No, there's lots of exploitation podcasts too. We're figuring that.
Yeah.
We're figuring out. We're living. We're learning. We're laughing. We're loving.
Yeah.
As well. And so I just wanted to say, the job that I work is pretty close to Glengarry Glen Ross. It's also it's funny. I've been watching some sales movies recently, right? Just to kind of get in the mindset. And if you can explain a sales concept to me through a film analogy, then it's going to stick in my mind. And I have a couple of things I wanted to mention.
Please.
But one thing that I think is funny is that the big sales movie, obviously. Glengarry Glen Ross, early 90s, the play from, I think, probably the late 80s. Oh, who did you play? Wait, did you play Ricky Roma?
Nope.
No, okay. Did you play the Kevin Spacey character?
Nope.
No.
I played James Link, the feeble-minded weakling who gets taken advantage of by Ricky Roma. Who I think is Jonathan Pryce in the movie.
Yeah,
is it
Jonathan Pryce.
That's
him. Great.
Yeah. And I was like, I played it kind of stumbling and nervous. And then the Queen's Journal, which was the Queen's newspaper, garbage publication, they reviewed it and they singled me out for being terrible.
What?
Because they said I was like nervous and stuff. And I was like, that was the character.
Yeah, and it's a small role too.
Yeah, but there
are no small roles, only small actors.
Of course. But then like a Queen's theater professor who's like she was a great staunch feminist and stuff. She told me that I was her favorite part of the play.
Yes. As a feminist,
yeah.
you were my favorite part.
And then also just like a hippie dippy looking couple, they were walking down the street one day and they were like, oh hey man, you were great in Glengarry. And I was like,
nice.
Yeah, so fuck the Queen's Journal.
Well, whoever reviewed that is obviously an idiot.
It was like a sports writer,
right? Exactly.
I don't know why they sent them, but
exactly.
The Queen's Journal was can I tell a quick Queen's Journal story?
Yes, but let me just quickly say I never auditioned for any plays at Queen's. I didn't really consider myself an actor. I did in high school a lot, but not so much in university. My brother wanted to audition, so I went along with him and I auditioned. And they gave me the sides for the Ricky Roma character, played by Alfredo Pacino. And I was like, I don't know what to do, right? So I just did it. You just did the
movie?
Pacino. I just did it. I was just Pacino. And I was like, he's like, oh, you believe I can't do it, but he's like,
You want the leads?
Yeah. He's, you believe in an absolute morality? No. Does hell exist on Earth? Yes. But I won't live in it. I refuse. Hoo-ah. He's like that monologue, right? He's like, you're cheating your wife. You fuck kids. So be it. It's such a weird David Mamet.
It's a weird guy.
Wild man.
But I remember the director.
Great politics too, by the way. David Mamet.
Is that sarcastic?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know much about his politics.
It's funny thing in New York, or like whatever, Twitter from hipsters in Brooklyn, it's like anytime David Mamet comes up or they're at a David Mamet screening, it's like, hey, I did coke with his daughter, right? Shoshana from Girls, his daughter.
That's David Mamet's daughter?
Yes, Zosha Mamet?
Zoshana.
No, Shoshana is her character.
Zoshana Mamet.
No, Zosha is her real name.
Lena Dunham.
Yeah. No, that's
cool.
She's a Nepo baby. They're all Nepo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point, right? Because Allison Williams is Brian Williams' daughter, the news anchor.
Oh.
You'd recognize him. Yeah.
Okay.
He was the one who lied about being in a helicopter that got shot down, and then he had to go on and be like,
I love when celebrities get caught in lies.
I was in a helicopter behind that helicopter. I forgot. I'm an idiot. Yeah. Sorry, what were you? Let's roast the Queen's Journal. Yeah. If any Queen's people are listening.
Can I just say that makes me feel a lot better, about all the, because when you're a kid and you just lie all the time, sometimes I get high and I'm like, oh, I was such a dishonest kid. I'm such a dishonest person. But then, I've never kind of, that just makes me feel better for all the dishonesty I've perpetrated in my life.
Oh, like
hearing of big scale.
Oh, huge lies.
Huge lies, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But that idea for Glengarry Glen Ross, where it's people doing the actors in the movie, I think that could have been a really smart idea, because I remember the director's his concept behind it was that we were all kind of like kids, like playing in their like parents' like clothes, like so everyone was kind of outfitted like a bit bigger, like nothing fit quite right, and the sets were kind of big. Because
and that's such a funny thing, because when you're mounting like a college production of something, you just have to do that, or else it's like you just have to say that you're doing that, because whether or not you intend to do it or not, that's how it's going to look anyway.
Because these, we weren't going to nail Glenn Ross, so he had a bit of a concept behind it.
The Shelley Levine character is not. You have to be like an old, washed up piece of shit, right?
Yeah, I can't even remember who that was.
Some young guy.
I think we might be getting Aiden on the pod soon.
Yeah, he was
in it too.
Who was he?
He played Kevin Spacey.
Oh, Williamson.
Yeah, Williamson.
Yeah. You are a piece of shit, Williamson. That's my Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon.
Because I did a scene from Glengarry Glen Ross, the sort of climactic scene between Jack Lemmon and Kevin Spacey, where Jack Lemmon is roasting him for ruining the sale, and then he lets slip, right, that he had information, and Kevin Spacey nails him like you're the guy who. So great sort of power dynamics.
Totally.
And that was our grade 12 final project. A+. The first line is you are a piece of shit, and it was really funny. It's like kids playing dress up, right? And like swearing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think if you added that extra layer of like just straight up trying to imitate the characters from the movie, I think that would have kind of added to this concept and maybe made it more.
Yeah.
You stupid fucking cunt.
Yeah, your child.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, okay, so what I was getting at with that business style, obviously, so I watched that sometime in the pandemic. I'll watch it again soon just to pick up on some of those sweet tips, like ABC, always be closing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was a note that I had to take in the training program I just did.
Actually?
Yes.
Wow.
I took a picture of it.
Wow.
Yeah. There's another one too. There's a second ABC, right? Oh, there's millions of these acronyms, right? There's Fuji, right? That's one. There's Air. Fuji's good. Fuji. F. No, I'm doing Alec Baldwin. Yeah. Okay, Fuji. F. Fear of loss, right?
Okay.
The deal, it's now or never, baby.
Sure.
You gotta sign the dotted line, right? Okay. U. Urgency. And it sounds similar to fear of loss, but it's just slightly different. In what way? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
We'll find out. G. Greed, right?
Greed is good.
Greed is good. No, it's like, your neighbors, the Johnsons, really love this package, right?
Well, you know the funny thing about the Johnsons.
Yeah, fucking stupid ass masterpiece, yeah. And then indifference, right? Because you can't be too desperate.
It's Fugi.
Yeah, Fuji. The Fujis, yeah.
Well, speaking of the Fujis, dude,
I know.
crazy. So
Wild.
Pross was working for not even the Chinese government, just some Chinese billionaire. And his excuse was that he was just like, can you get me a picture with Barack Obama? And then the most surreal part of all of this is like, who was Pross? He had like 5-second verses on all their songs that he became this like hyper influential person in politics.
Right, because everybody knows.
It should have been Wyclef.
Yeah, everybody knows who Wyclef is, and everybody knows
Lauryn Hill, obviously.
Lauryn Hill, and they both had really successful solo careers.
Pross had Ghetto Superstar.
Oh yeah,
but it's not even Pross who shines on that. It's I forget who the female singer is, but then also ODB, Old Dirty Bastard.
Right,
He's got an amazing verse.
The other ABC, by the way, assume the deal, be direct, close with confidence.
Yeah, that's insane.
Anyway, there's the 8 steps to success, right?
Yeah.
There's the 5 steps to a conversation. When somebody says, I'm 5-stepping you, or like you're 5-stepping me, right?
Right.
When you learn the 5 steps, which is very, very basic stuff,
yeah,
you'll notice it in every single thing you do. You go shopping at a store and you ask for help, they're 5-stepping you. It's very simple stuff.
What about when your dad tells you he's taking the 12 steps? What does that mean?
That's a question you got to ask your therapist. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm looking at these sales movies. All right, Glengarry Glen Ross, influential, obviously, of course. And Wall Street, right? Influential in a slightly different way, right? But very influential for all sorts of people.
Gordy Geico.
Yeah. And one of the funny things about Wall Street and later on Wolf of Wall Street is that these movies are very widely embraced by Wall Street guys. And I don't think it's that they're so stupid that they don't understand.
They know.
They know.
They enjoy being villains.
Yeah, right? Of course.
Yeah.
And so I watched a movie, Boiler Room, from 2000.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Not great, but it's not bad. Ben Affleck has the Alec Baldwin speech, and he's actually pretty good in that bit. Vin Diesel, Giovanni Ribisi, Nicky Cat is in there, all sorts
Stacked
of guys.
cast.
Yeah. And at one point, one of the guys is like, ABC, you ever heard of Glenn Ross? It's like that, right? And then there's another scene where all the guys are sitting around watching Wall Street on TV, and they're reciting every line verbatim, right? And that's funny, right? So, okay, those were the big reference points. Now, even though this movie is 10 years old this year, I guess, Wolf of Wall Street is the number one reference point,
of
like
course.
influential movie for this.
Yeah.
And it came up several times in the training. Not so much the film itself, but Jordan Belfort, who still runs. You see at the end of the movie when he is reduced to the convention circuit, where he's like, "Sell me this pen," right?
Yeah.
Okay, the company I work for the time being until I get fired, goes to those seminars.
Yeah.
They pay good money to go for a work trip to
Hell
whatever,
yeah.
somewhere in the States, and they pay to see this man. Yeah.
That's wild.
So that's where I could be. All that is to say, I'm a weekend warrior now because the hours are really bad. It hasn't started up yet, but when I am working there, like I've just been doing the training, right? But when next week, it's the full business hour, it's going to be like a 12-hour day, basically, doored from my place, to get out of my apartment and back. And it's going to be tough. And so, like all good Torontonians who are grifting and grinding constantly to afford this expensive city, I live for the weekend. So last night, as a man of culture, I went to 3 distinct cultural events in one evening. Friend of the pod and friend in real life. I think we need to. When I say friend of the pod, you're a friend in real life. Everyone knows that, right? Oh no, sorry. Except for when we say Jordan Peterson and all the people.
No,
you're right.
There's a lot of people.
Actually, the distinction is important.
Yeah,
okay,
Sam Edwards.
Yeah, not someone we recently went out with. Yeah. Friend of the pod and friend in real life, Jardana was in town from New York State to sing some opera at an Canadian opera a program that was really great. So I went with friend of the pod and friend in real life and past guest and future guest Mary Jane, and friend of the pod and friend in real life and future guest Yuki.
You can't do that for every single person we mentioned.
Okay, and how many more people did I see? Okay, so I've only got 10 more people to describe exactly that way.
Let's go.
That's it. We went to that. It was great. We went to a country music night at a place, and that was also fun. Despite what I might have thought of it beforehand, it was actually really good. Mm-hmm. Great live band. And then we went to karaoke after that. Mm-hmm. And that is where I ruined my voice by singing Orinoco Flow by Enya, by singing Perfect Day, the Lou Reed and Pavarotti version, 2002 from Italy. And
it's such a perfect day.
I'm glad I spent it with you. That's such a perfect day. Sorry, Alex.
No, I like it.
And then lastly, a very ill-advised attempt at doing a karaoke version of Born Slippy (Nux) by Underworld, aka the Train Spotting song.
Oh, okay.
Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, that song.
Dun, 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 dun. My boy,
Yep. I know the song. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Lager. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so I won't replicate it for you now, but that's why I am feeling and sounding a little rough. What's your excuse, Alex?
I'm spry.
Yeah, you look great.
I'm virile.
Alex came straight from the gym.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then we just watched the 3-hour-long movie sitting on the
sat our
couch.
asses,
Yeah.
Eating cannolis. And...
We did. I did bring some type of cannoli type dessert. For
Japanese
us,
cannoli.
It was a Japanese cannoli.
But on Thursday, also, listener, this is going to be a long episode. We went over our limit. So instead of just like, we would have had to pay 2 times for the amount that we would have to put out, including this episode. Mm-hmm. So I just upgraded us to the next plan. So this is going to be a 5-hour long odyssey we're inviting you on.
Each of these Godfather episodes will be as long as the films themselves, if not longer. And it's gonna be loose, okay?
Yeah.
We're just assuming that you can read the Wikipedia page so that we don't have to read it
No,
for you.
we'll get to it eventually. Just maybe skip to like an hour.
Yeah.
Let's say an hour.
Yeah.
But on Thursday, I went out with former coworkers.
Oh.
To bitch about my current coworkers. No, they're nice people.
Office life.
One of my coworkers, Sarah, she wanted to be on one of the Godfathers because she's Italian. So we're gonna try to we're gonna try to work something out because she's a great person, and I'm sure we'll bring lots of insights.
Yes,
as an Italian,
that would be good.
From the Italian province of Mississauga, Ontario. Mississauga. But I went out with my old coworkers, and in the group chat, someone wrote the rezos for 6. So I got home and I quickly ate something, and I was like, I'm going to be a bit late. Get there around 6:30. It's this cocktail bar near Queen and Spadina called Watson's. Actually, really good. Really, really lovely little place. I should have read the whole message in the group chat. It was rezo for 6 at 7:30 p.m. So 6 was the number of people. So I was well and early. So I sat at the bar with the bartender, and I could hear him. I was like, "Is there a rezo under Brook?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's at 7:30." And I was like, so I just kind of sat there, and then I could hear him talking to like the other coworker who was like the DJ. He was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, that guy came like an hour and a half early for his reservation." I was like, "Come on."
That's
so
funny.
I was sitting there, and I was like, "Can I start a tab?" And he's like, "Sure." And he brings me out a drink, and then he's like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Alex, how about yours?" I don't have experience as a bar fly, so I thought he's going to chat me up, like, kill some time with me. Yeah. And then I realized that he was just asking for the tab.
Oh.
Yeah.
You poor sad sack.
So he didn't like say anything to me.
Oh.
But then I got another friend of mine and an old coworker to come a bit earlier, and she kept me company until everyone else came. But I had a good, maybe 30 to 40 minutes of just sitting in silence by myself. But I tried like a bunch of their cocktails as a result. Like by the end of the night, I was by far the drunkest just by virtue of having been there for as long as I was. But this place, Watson's, they have some good fucking cocktails. They had one called Holy Water that was like watermelon based. Oh my God. It tasted like, I don't know.
Watermelon.
But like, you know how watermelon flavored things could be kind of like just bland and watery? Sure. This was sweet. It was like a watermelon Jolly Rancher, but at the same time refreshing. But of course not refreshing because it had like 6 different types of liquors in it that were all like zapping your body of hydration and nutrients. So I stumbled home that night and I stopped by Popeyes.
Oh, yeah.
And I ordered...
What'd you get? What's your Popeyes order?
I would have tried a sandwich, but they were like taking forever, and I could see they had a big basket ready of their spicy stuff.
The chicken is always there.
Yeah. So I just got 4 pieces of only dark meat. I was like, only dark meat. And I took it home and I ate it like a gremlin. And then the next day...
It's so salty.
This was Friday. I did a bit of work, but then it wasn't actually a slow day. I'm just going to be really busy on Monday. I had to bite the bullet. I was a bit hungover. Yeah. So I just ordered a pizza, and I had an awesome double feature of Hacksaw Ridge and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Oh,
God. So Hacksaw Ridge you watched because we talked about it.
Yeah. And it was on...
We were talking about Gospel According to Matthew, I imagine, and Wright and Passion of the Christ, and then Hacksaw Ridge.
Exactly.
Right.
And you're right. Everything you said about it. It's a very funny movie.
Insane
and I think
movie.
Clearly the work of a very conflicted and fractured mind.
Yes.
For a movie about nonviolence, it's hilariously violent and graphic and like super cheesy and melodramatic. And then just like, you know, you could tell he's like a weirdly like God-fearing man and has all this like reverence for war heroes and stuff. But then when he gets to actually shooting violence, it's so fetishized and
it's like Looney Tunes style, over the top. Just again, like Passion of the Christ, lingering on, you know, this like a corpse just being shot up again, or like, you know, a guy like exploding in his entrails, or it's like you know, I don't want to flex. This is my new business thing. Yeah. So anytime I want to be, you know, sound like I'm
anytime
like
you want to
slick,
flex,
I go. Okay. You know, I don't want to. You know, like you can't snort.
Delete that snort.
Yeah, delete the snort. You can't snort. Anyway. Fuck, I hate that.
What were you gonna say?
I don't remember. I'm just locked in this like loop now of going.
You got caught up in the.
Yeah, terrible. So bad. Okay. Sometimes on film Twitter, it's like, like, what's a movie that you're proud of that you saw in theaters? You know, which is kind of a dumb. It's like anytime anyone's like, I saw this movie, like, and they're using it as a point of pride. It's like I sat on my ass, and I watched this. I let the movie happen, and that's an achievement that I did.
And I can make fun of that because I'm guilty of that. I do say that almost as if it matters. Like, did you see this movie? Yeah, I saw that back in theaters.
We went to Werkmeister Harmonies, and we brought it up 20 times on the show. Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
There's rumors that that's getting a Criterion release.
I'm sure it is, yeah. Anyway, I did see that in theaters because that was an Oscar contender that year, which is very funny. It was nominated for Best Picture,
It was one of the AFI's top films of that year.
So funny.
Yeah. AFI, of course, stands for Angry Fucking Italians.
Hey, Marron.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hey, I don't want to pick up a gun. What, me? You know, no, that's not how he sounds. You know, so it's Andrew Garfield doing the hilarious voice.
I couldn't possibly shoot anyone.
I love Andrew Garfield.
I know.
I'll watch anything that he's in. My favorite, not even necessarily like my
Who's your favorite
actor.
Spider-Man?
He's not my favorite. Okay, I finally like watched those Spider-Mans. And his Peter Parker is so weird. He's like fuckboy Peter Parker. He's too cool. You don't believe he's like a nerd,
nerdy
right?
Boy.
Yeah, he looks too slick. And I don't really know what that's about. Like Eduardo Saverin, his character in and a real person, the character Eduardo Saverin from Social Network is like much closer to the Peter Parker than his actual Peter Parker.
Interesting, yeah.
But he is hilarious, and because like I said, right, that and Silence were out at the same time, and in both of them he's doing the funny voice, and he's going to Japan
and having a bad time. That's really funny. That's a great way to describe those two movies.
He has a bad time. I don't want to kill nobody. I'm just a simple country farmer.
Lord, give me the strength to save one more life.
Oh, did you like too when they're lowering him down and he's doing the Jesus on the cross pose?
It was so heavy-handed and on the nose and just ugh.
Yep. That's old Mel for you.
Yeah.
Remember when the second franchise we were going to do before we switched it to Die Hard was Lethal Weapon? Yeah. We talked about that.
Die Hard made more sense for the season, it being, quote-unquote, a Christmas movie. Quote-unquote. Yeah.
I believe at least one of the Lethal Weapons is also a Christmas movie, right? It must be. Like Lethal Weapon. It
must be.
No, because Shane Black, who writes all those, is like always sets the action things at Christmas. It's like an ironic Christmas like violence thing, you know.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's pretty ironic.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Isn't it ironic?
You've got 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. Yeah.
It's ironic.
Way too many spoons. I mean, it's a ludicrous amount of spoons to have for anyone to have, even as a metaphor for something. Right?
And if you tried hard enough, you could cut something with a spoon. If you had a fork and a spoon, you could make it work.
You gouge with a spoon. You gouge. Yeah. So I'm old. I'm like one of the older people at this job, right? And I took the bus home with this coworker, and I found out he was 19.
Holy shit!
I was like, oh my god. He was like, "You're like 25," and I was like, "No,
hey, that's
I'm
good.
not."
That's good.
No, it was nice. It was nice. But it was funny. I didn't tweet this, but maybe I should. It was like me talking to my 19-year-old coworker who's clearly like more worldly and more mature than I am somehow. Let me give you a lesson, kid. Because he was asking me about something like about whatever. He was worried maybe with the intensity of the job that it might have an effect on his relationship. Right?
Okay.
And
you were like, "Listen, kid."
I was like, "Listen, kid." Like as a single guy who who got dumped recently. Let me tell you.
Oh, Ben.
Not that recently.
I'm
over it. It's good. It's all good.
You should have been like, "Listen, kid, we're gonna be getting so much pussy on the beat."
That's so gross. I'm gonna become so gross.
I know. I can't wait.
It's already infected me. Everybody's worried these days, right? I mean, we were all worried about coronavirus. Now we're all worried about the woke mind virus.
Yeah.
I already have the sales virus.
You have the business virus.
I got the business virus. We were watching the fucking Godfather, man, and I was like, these are great business tips.
Yeah.
I am learning so much from this family.
You also couldn't stop looking at your stocks.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Saturday, but I was like, stocks go up, stocks go down.
Yeah.
On the weekend sometimes.
You got to be ready for Monday. You got to be ready for the bell, right?
Yes, they do ring the bell.
Yeah.
Any money I put in the stock market immediately evaporates. It's like I'll gamble $20. It's gone. I watched a couple of other movies actually this week as well. Because like I said, it was just training, so the hours were a little shorter this week. By next week, I mean, I'm probably just not gonna be able to watch any movies that aren't for this podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but it's okay because I need to take a break. Nobody needs to see 600 movies a year.
Hey,
right?
Hey, don't talk like that.
Don't get down on yourself, kid. Okay, because we are following up Trilogy of Life, right? A thematic trilogy, all directed by the same person. We're following it up with another, a thing that I think actually is closer to the definition of franchise, right, than a thematic trilogy.
100% is
100%. They made a fucking video game, right? And there's Godfather.
And there's a new Godfather miniseries out on Paramount Plus called The Offer.
Yes, about the making of the Godfather.
Yeah, who wants to see that?
It looks bad. I heard nothing but bad things. I don't want to watch that.
Who's playing Frankie Ford Coppola?
I believe it was Dan Fogelberg.
No,
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where we're at on that.
Isn't his name just Dan Fogel?
Oh, Dan Fogler.
Yeah, Fogler, not Fogel. Sorry, Dan Fogler.
I'm sorry. Miles Teller is the producer, Albert S. Ruddy, who was instrumental in getting the film made, and who we're not going to talk about today because I don't want to read his fucking Wikipedia page. I don't know, all sorts of people. Dan Fogler, Giovanni Ribisi, look at that.
Hey,
yeah,
love that guy.
So Coppola, I wanted to kind of.
I like that you you extra Jewified Dan Fogler's name.
Fogelberg. I feel bad.
I'm sure he gets it all the time.
I didn't. No, it's because there's another guy. There's another Dan, like Dan Trachtenberg, who's like
Michelle
a director.
Trachtenberg.
Yeah, maybe they're brother and sister. I don't know. I can make up all sorts of excuses. I'm sorry. I apologize to the Foglers. Francis Ford Coppola is a great director. Hot take. He
disagree.
He made some good movies. And something that's kind of interesting. I mean, you could do this with anybody's career. Maybe this isn't interesting at all. But his career lines up really well into like decades. So you can say, all right, here's his 60s work, right, and then here's his 70s work, and basically the 60s work is the stuff that when he was hired by Roger Corman to re-edit, one of his first projects is re-editing a Soviet science fiction film and kind of like make so for an English release, just repackaging, recutting, nudie cuties and things like that, like sexploitation stuff. And then his first movie. That you could really say is his first movie that he actually, directed and shot the movie himself, Dementia 13,
of course,
for Corman as well, and then a couple other ones, and ending with The Rain People, and I'll get to that in a sec. And then his 70s run is insane, right? It's Godfather, Conversation, Godfather 2, Apocalypse Now. And I think a lot of people point to that as like, well, okay, that's what a crazy decade, right? Mm-hmm. Those are all classics. But his 80s run after that, after basically, losing lots of money from One from the Heart, which I watched pretty recently as well, is really good too. And those are some of the films that I was trying to fill in. And I will probably later on, because I want to see Tucker, the Man in His Dream, and The Cotton Club. And then he has his 90s stuff, which starts with Godfather 3. And these are kind of more like, and Dracula, my favorite movie of all time. But then Jack, with Robin Williams, where he's got to make some money. And The Rainmaker is John Grisham movie where he's like, got to make some money.
When did he make those, like The Outsiders and Rumblefish? And
That's
stuff
the
like
80s,
That's
yeah.
The 80s,
So 80s starts with One from the Heart, Outsiders, Rumblefish. Outsiders and Rumblefish he shot back to back.
Both by S.E. Hinton.
Both by S.E. Hinton, yeah. And I watched Rumblefish recently.
I saw it in
over
theaters.
Easter. You did,
I saw it in theaters.
Nice.
I mean, a rescreening.
Yeah,
it was at the Royal, back when
nice.
that still showed movies.
What a great movie, huh?
Yeah.
It's so, I guess I didn't...
Its tone is so bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard it was, I guess, more abstract than The Outsiders, which is relatively straightforward. But I didn't know how... like avant-garde it actually was.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful movie. And I'd read when he got the deal to make Outsiders and then was like going to make Rumblefish and share a lot of the same crew and stuff like that, he was sort of thinking of it as like, okay, The Outsiders, like, I'm going to do it straight. I'm going to do what they ask for.
One for them, one for me.
And then Rumblefish is my experiment, yeah. And sort of likening it to like the Godfather movies, right? And then Apocalypse Now, where it's like, this is his like thing that he's really passionate about.
Right.
Maybe not the exact same thing, but Peggy Sue Got Married is a really good movie. Obviously I love Dracula. And then he has his 2000s work, which is very kind of distinct, his like late style stuff. Youth Without Youth, Tetro, Twixt. And the upcoming Megalopolis, which is actually seems like it's going to be made, which is really exciting. So, yeah, like I said, I saw Rumblefish recently. One from the Heart as well I saw recently, which is the movie that basically ruined him financially. A giant kind of like throwback to like a Technicolor musical. That was filmed, it's set in Las Vegas, but it's basically filmed entirely, the whole Las Vegas Strip entirely in this warehouse. Stunning movie, like that just was a ginormous flop. And I can sort of see why. The actual like central romance is maybe not compelling, but that's why it sort of works. It's kind of similar to like Scorsese's New York, which was his sort of musical throwback, where the romance between De Niro and Liza Minnelli and that is like really fraught and like upsetting. Yeah, so all you can kind of divide it into that, right? And into these sort of chunks. So for this past week, just to get a bit of context, I wanted to fill in a couple of gaps. I figured I'd watch his first movie, Dementia 13, right? I'd watch his last movie to date. Megalopolis isn't out yet. We don't know if he's going to make it, but he's probably going to make it. So I watched Twixt, and then I watched The Rain People, which is the last movie he made in the 60s, right before The Godfather. I enjoyed all of them, actually.
Oh, there you go.
They're all really good.
This guy likes Francis Ford Coppola, people.
I do like Francis Ford Coppola. I do want to see all his movies eventually.
Have you ever had his wine?
Getting pretty close. I have had his wine, yeah. My dad is a big wine connoisseur, and we tried it once. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, there you go. Sometimes, celebrity wines kind of taste like battery acid.
Oh, the Wayne Gretzky wine.
Oh.
You ever had that?
No, but I've driven past his vineyard, I guess.
Well, okay, really quickly, I'll just say Dementia 13, it's on Tubi. You can watch it for free. It's like 75 minutes. It's worth it. It's not going to blow you away. It's not like some secret like masterpiece or anything like that. But it's a really solid kind of psycho ripoff axe murder movie that has a really strong beginning, strong ending, and a couple of really good central sequences where you're like, okay, like he's showing off. Like this is his thing. It's like, and even from the beginning, right? And we know his sort of financial sort of situations with these movies where he's like constantly going over budget and things are bloating and getting crazy and he's trying to get money from all these different sources. Even in Dementia 13, it's like, okay, here's the money you get from Roger Corman. And then on the side, unbeknownst to Corman, he's already raising other money for it. He's like already doubled the budget of the movie, like without telling the producer, And you got to respect him for that.
Yeah, he was actually in the pocket for producing. He lost a bunch of money producing THX1138.
Yeah, that was a Zoetrope Studios release.
Yeah, and he was like some other studio before he made The Godfather, so... he was a really dicey pick for a while, but it all worked out.
So
as we know,
Dementia 13, he makes a couple other movies, including Finian's Rainbow, which is an actual musical as well, which I haven't seen, and by all accounts is a bit of a chore, probably. He made The Rain People, and it's kind of not super easy to find necessarily. I had one of those Warner Archive DVDs, and I really liked it. It has a similar tone to Easy Rider. I guess they came out the same year, right? 69. I think that's Easy Rider. It feels like a very feminist film about this woman who just kind of decides to like up and leave her husband when she finds out that she's pregnant, and it kind of realizes she doesn't want to be with him and doesn't want to have the baby, and she sort of goes on this like sort of Easy Rider-esque road trip through America. She picks up James Caan later in The Godfather, of course. He's this football player called Killer, and he had a traumatic brain injury, and he has a big metal plate in his head, and he's, I guess, maybe a little slow as a result of that. And she sort of manipulates him, and there's this really great scene where they're at a motel. It's all shot in these mirrors, and it's that where she's sort of like she's playing this game of Simon Says with him, and kind of treating him like a dog, and it's really like you see scenes that are shot in mirrors all the time in movies. It's a very like common way to flex. Yeah, cool, look at me. But it's a really, really beautiful shot, all in this one long take. And then one of the other guys she ends up meeting on the road is Robert Duvall.
There you go.
I believe Duvall and Caan were roommates actually at the time.
That's weird.
Hanging out.
Because they kind of look alike too.
They do, yeah. I would definitely recommend seeing The Rain People if you can find it. Out of those early Coppola movies, like again, I haven't seen all of them, but it's the one that most feels like it's like, okay, this is directed by the guy who would go on to make The Godfather and Apocalypse Now.
Nice.
And then very, very briefly, I know I'm going on it. Very briefly, Twixt, his last movie to date. I really enjoyed catching up with that. I remember when I missed it in a theater. It was like had a very limited release. It was the best thing I could say about it is it's like Twin Peaks: The Return, Twin Peaks season 3 core style stuff. the thing that kind of ties that and the Rain People together is that those feel like his most personal movies in a way. Like Twixt actually incorporates elements of his life and the death of his son Giancarlo Coppola in a boating accident during a production of his film Gardens of Stone. And I know he released a new cut of Twixt because he's constantly releasing new cuts of his movies and new Blu-rays to fund his new projects.
Yeah,
you got to hand it to him.
he hasn't really touched Godfather 1 and 2 though.
No, he's not going to do that.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
they're pretty good.
They are good. Anyway, so those are some other Coppola movies. I mean, I don't think you can really go bad with anything he's done. Not that I've seen everything. Maybe Jack. Captain EO, the Michael Jackson like Disneyland film. You ever see that?
No.
Oh, it's wild. Yeah. I don't know why. And again, it's even he made, it's like it was like the most expensive thing ever made. It's like this like 10-minute like piece of shit Michael Jackson movie. I don't know, ahead of its time, I'm sure. Technologically. Yeah. I don't really know. I don't remember it. It played at Epcot, I think. Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Epcot?
Yeah.
Alex is not a Disney adult. I'm a Disney adult. I go Disney bounding. Is that what they call it? Something like that. I go to Disney every year, and I pay $3,000 to have lunch with Donald. I like him because similar to Winnie the Pooh,
he doesn't wear pants.
No pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a sailor. He's he fought for his country.
Yeah. He's wearing a pea coat.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is if you really think about it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, if you really think about it, if you really sit down and you really analyze it. We have another. I think probably the last time that we watched a Coppola film together was Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, we saw the final cut.
The final cut, this
in IMAX.
So-called final cut. He's still got time to make another one.
Shorter than Redux,
yes.
Longer than the original. I think it hits a sweet spot.
Well, what's funny is I don't think I've ever seen the original Apocalypse Now.
The original cut.
The original cut.
I don't think I have either, actually.
Because by the time that we would have been of age to watch it, the cut that was the most widely available and the cut that's on Netflix maybe not at the time, but you know what I mean. The cut that was pretty much everywhere was Redux.
Yeah.
And so the plantation scene and the stuff with the bunnies in the helicopters and whatever. I don't know.
The USO show that devolves into...
Yeah, stuff like that. I think that, or maybe it's just the follow-up part when they meet them again.
Right.
I think that, yeah.
Maybe.
So I think it really interrupted with like the fever dream flow, like especially the plantation. By the time you get there, everyone's already nuts. So like to have it sit down and have you have this like talk of politics and stuff, it kind of disrupts it. And I think one of the reasons he wanted to put that back in, aside from whatever, maybe making money or whatever, is that his son who was killed, Giancarlo, is in that. He's one of the kids. And I think he was maybe sentimental about that footage, And the final cut cuts out that bunny thing.
When they re-encounter
them, but it leaves in the plantation. But the way that it's edited is it's way more feverish than it totally flows together. I think the other reason why it's so good is that like we saw it in IMAX, and it had been remastered and
sounded
4K
amazing.
And sounded amazing,
looked incredible.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Redux in forever. I don't know if I'll ever go back to Redux, but I think the plantation scene, I don't know if it's all in the final cut. Like it's there, but maybe it's edited differently.
It's gotta be cut down.
Because I thought it all like flowed really well too.
It did.
That was a great cinema going experience for me.
It was, yes, for me too. Yeah, for me too. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'll tell you why. I thought this would be a great excuse or opportunity, right?
Yeah.
To experience the film perhaps the way it was meant to be experienced when it was released in 1979, which was to be high on LSD. Not something that I do very often, and also not something that typically works because I take antipsychotics,
Right, of course,
which would ruin the trip. But for one reason or another, it really worked that time. And it's not like the movie was any trippier. It's very trippy. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
But as soon as we got out, it was at the Scotiabank Theatre in downtown Toronto.
You were fucked.
Well, I didn't want to leave the seat right away.
Yeah.
And I was so sweaty. I was sweating it's a hot movie, right? I was sweating the whole time. And then we went out into the lobby, and you were like, I just got to go to the bathroom. And I said, okay, no problem. And I took up my phone, and I looked at the phone, and people were coming out of movies, and it was like a busy night. And I was like, oh my God, I'm way, way more high than I.
Yeah.
Oh no. And
that's what happens is when you go back out in public. Like, obviously we're in public, we're in a big crowded movie theater, but even like when you're drunk, if you're just like drinking with your buddy, like at, in their house or something, and then you go out, then you're like, oh, I'm very drunk.
Yeah, well, in particular with acid, I've heard when you transition from one environment to the other, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in all at once. It's a lot of stimuli.
Yeah.
And we were at the very back of the IMAX theater.
Yeah.
And when you're watching the movie, I was in the world of the movie. Yeah. I was like, I'm there. I'm experiencing it. And when it shut off, it's like, oh, what?
Yeah,
like,
welcome back to the real world, jackass.
Oh, no.
And acid's like, you could go through a 3-hour movie and come out the other end high.
Exactly. It's not going to fade away like when you smoke a joint before Doctor Strange or whatever,
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So we walked out, and the problem with doing any sort of psychedelic in Toronto is that, like, to go see a movie, for example, is that you walk out of the movie theater and guess where you are? You're in downtown Toronto, one of the worst vibed cities in the world.
Truly.
Like, depending on where you are, but like we were it's Queen Street basically, right across from the Ballroom, which is
like a bowling nightclub.
Yeah.
And at the time there was a big Jack Astor's there too, which is kind of like our I want to say it's kind of like our Applebee's, but it's not, because it's also got more like nightclubby vibes in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like
the food of Applebee's, but with the
it's kind of like a TGI Fridays, but like what those were originally
night
like.
TGI Fridays.
Yeah, like when that chain first started, they were like, that's the cocktail, the Tom Cruise in Cocktail, where he's doing all the tricks.
Oh,
like TGI Fridays had stuff like that, like Flair bartenders,
and it became more like family oriented eventually.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. The history of TGI Fridays.
I know there's a great bit in the Edward Yang movie, A Confusion, where that's kind of like taking place in I think late 80s, early 90s Taiwan. Everyone is like, it's very kind of caught up in like a kind of a Western influenced business sort of environment, and they're all the characters are talking about how they're like, I'll meet you at the TGI Fridays.
Oh, that's funny.
Like after work, right? That's where all the conversations are had.
I will say though, you held it together pretty well.
Thank you.
And you told me, you were like, listen, if I start reaching into my backpack during the movie, I'm just getting a second tab. Well, the rest of your first tab or something. Exactly. And you did, and I was like, damn, kudos.
It was very soon, and it was pretty much right when they say exterminate with extreme prejudice. Yeah. So I was like, I can handle this.
Yeah.
And, lo and behold.
And then we came out, and you were like, can you do me a favor? Can you go into that convenience store and buy me some bubble gum?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But I wanted to get you the trippiest bubble gum possible.
I remember.
So I got you the Hubba Bubba with like the liquid center or something.
With the goo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gooey Hubba Bubba.
You got me the goo gum.
I got you the strawberry goo Hubba Bubba.
Oh, yeah. My mouth was very dry. It helped. And you walked me most of the way home.
Yeah, and
last stretch when I was on my own, oh man, it took a long time.
I believe it.
Took a long time.
We were walking, and when we would have cigarettes, you would take the gum out and put it on your nose.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
You look like Rudolph.
Yes, this was a cigarette smoking era for me, and I do remember, it it was really the first time that, like, acid still has an effect on me, even though I take antipsychotics. But this was the first time that I had experienced some of the things that I had come to associate with, like trails, motion trails,
right?
And, blooming around lights and so on. And I remember taking a drag of the cigarette and like flicking the ash, and as you see, it's like the ash like trails off. It was pretty cool.
I've never had that experience, and I'm kind of bummed. And I'm not like in a super rush to do acid again anytime soon. But
yeah, well,
sounds kind of cool.
I know where you can get some from this guy. We call him Acid Adam, and he hangs around U of T. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Cool.
He's 45. He's not creepy at all.
It doesn't sound like it.
No. You know what's funny? And I mean, the FBI can listen to this, or whatever the Canadian version of that is.
RCMP?
Is
that it?
I don't know. CSIS. You can buy research chemicals online, like quote unquote research chemicals,
right,
which is really funny. You can't buy whatever LSD, but you can buy everything. You can buy LSD, 1CP LSD, 1D LSD, 1V LSD. It's all the same thing, basically, right?
I hate that stuff.
It's the same. It's acid.
No, but I mean, like, you know, when you ever get in a conversation with a bunch of like drug enthusiasts, and then they just start throwing like acronyms and like codes at you. And it's like, have you done 2CB? Like, no, but I've done like 2CBI.
Yeah,
like,
HOMET.
Yeah, like
you know,
SHUTUP.
Wait, I can't spell. What did you say?
Shut it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I got really high before the recording on POOP. And after that, I think to kind of come down a little bit, I'll do some PEE.
Yeah. PEE.
Yeah, PEE. Yeah, that's good.
We love
poo
and pee.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the story about... I'm glad we told that story. The Apocalypse Now story, because it's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to get another chance to talk about Apocalypse Now.
Probably not.
Unfortunately.
It was a very fun experience. I would recommend it.
Great movie.
It's an acid movie.
I wound up buying the 4K release where it had all three cuts. I actually think it has the original cut on it.
It
so
does.
If I wanted to, I could watch it. But I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just love the final cut so much. I love watching Francis Ford Coppola movies for 3 hours.
He's really good. And I'm excited to sort of finish some of the 80s movies, like I was saying, in those decades. But, focusing as we are now on his 70s run, basically, it really is impressive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Godfather II, what do you say about it? Like... It's unimpeachable.
Well, nothing
classics.
So far.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone's enjoying this tangential episode.
Yeah.
But that's, what do you want us to talk about? The Godfather? You've all seen it.
Yeah, you know it's an all right movie.
It's all right.
It's like three out of 5 stars.
Yeah. Guy who gives Godfather like 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
That's a character.
Oh, they exist.
Of course.
They've got to.
Quickly, before we dive into the world. The reason I have such a hatred of the Queen's Journal.
Wait, did we not?
We never.
We're circling back.
Yeah.
Let me just take a sip out of this Rick and Morty mug that Alex
It's your favorite one. No, I gave it to you because I know you love the... The reason I got that actually was because on here near where I live, on the Strip, there used to be an EB Games.
Yes.
And
I remember that.
I think I pre-ordered Pokemon Shield because I am a man-child and a loser.
Oh, come on.
And because I pre-ordered it, I got a choice of they had like a cabinet, when you win something at a fair and it's like you could pick something from the first 2 rows. So this, believe it or not, was the least cringe thing I could have picked.
I believe it. Yeah. When you go to they're all GameStops now, I guess, right?
Yeah,
if you go to a GameStop and you're buying something that isn't a video game,
it's cringe.
The merchandise they have, it's probably it probably sucks.
It was like either the Rick and Morty mug or like a keychain with like a giant figurine of Toad from Mario, goat seeing or something, spreading open his asshole.
Come on, Mario? Jump in.
Yeah.
Here's a pipe for you.
Or like a Funko Pop of like Mewtwo.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I'll do my Funko Pop rant on another episode. I've got a lot to say about Funko.
The funny thing is that he's not joking.
He
does have strong opinions on Funko Pops because I've heard this rant before.
Yeah, I probably got a really good 30-minute set about Funko.
You could record a whole comedy special.
Yeah, maybe I will. Oh yeah, shout out to a friend of the pod, friend in real life, and past and future guest. It's like rolls off the tongue when you say it. Friend of the pod, friend in real life, past and future guest.
Jesus, no.
Yeah,
Joel.
It's great.
Joel recorded his comedy show.
Edmiston.
It was great.
It was really fun. Yeah. Alex and I didn't coordinate properly. We went to different tapings of the show, but we did hang out before, and it was nice. With not friend of the pod, not friend in real life, and never coming on the show, Sam Edwards.
Yeah. I was really drunk, and Joel was like leaving the green room or whatever, and we were going to the bathroom. And he was like, hey, man, to Sam, he was like, thanks for coming too, like my friend. And I was like, he's Canadian comedy royalty.
Did he tell Joel?
What?
Who his dad is? Or
yeah, Joel messaged me later being like, who is your friend's dad? And I was like, funny. Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Your friend Dan Levy. Dan Levy, close personal friend of mine at one point. I had his phone number.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. No, not really, no. But in university, when I was involved in orientation week, I didn't really do any of the work, which is great. Delegating, that's what we call it. I delegated people way too much work that I should have been doing, but it resulted in some good stuff. So there was a motivational speaker at Queen's. You'll remember this from orientation week. The guy who'd be like doing all those dumb songs like "Gooly Gooly Gooly" and a Ram Sam Sam. You remember that? He's like rubbing your chin and.
I only remember the hypnotist.
Oh, okay, maybe. Well, there was this motivational speaker that was like really corny, right?
Sure.
And he had been coming there for like, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah.
And then we messaged him and we're like, you're not coming. I'm sorry, we got somebody else. And he was like devastated.
Oh, no.
And I'm sure that maybe they brought him back the next year. I don't know.
Maybe
but
he's dead.
For one reason or another, somebody was like, one of the people on my team was like, what if we got Dan Levy? Yeah. I was like, who's that? And they're like, oh, it's like the Hills after show. This is before he was.
Yeah, he was just on MTV.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, like Eugene Levy's kid. And I was like, that's great. Like, yeah, bring him in. And he said no. He was like asked for whatever amount of money, and we had a fraction of that. Mm-hmm. And then at one point he messaged us and said, I'm actually coming through Kingston and I'll do it. And it was really, I thought he gave a good speech. He's a funny guy. Sure. I know maybe people don't like him anymore because he's been overexposed. Just the show was a big thing, and he's kind of inescapable. And
it wasn't his fault the show took off like it did,
No, it's his fault that the show was a success because it's his show.
Yeah,
he wrote it and produced it and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like all good Canadians, I don't watch Canadian TV.
Yeah, me neither.
But I have seen a few episodes of Schitt's Creek, and it is, it's funny. Like Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
Catherine O'Hara is
hilarious.
Incredible. Yeah. So is when
So
he's in that mode, like with Catherine O'Hara, they can create gold. Like
so
in
good.
Obviously Christopher Guest movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Queens.
Yeah.
My second year,
Journal,
I'm like, I'm a good writer. I'm going to write for the Queen's Journal, and I want to be a music reviewer because I was a little hip piece of shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
I wrote a spec music review for the latest Arctic Monkeys album at the time, Humbug. And I sent that in, and they were like, this is great. Like, come to an orientation. This is from the editor. This email is like, come to an orientation. Let's say it was like Saturday, September 13th at 10 p.m. They had a house, the Queen's Journal house. And I was like, okay, a couple questions. Saturday is September 14th and 10 p.m. Do you mean 10 a.m.? So I replied for clarification. They never got back to me. So I went on that Saturday at 10 p.m. and sure enough, they meant 10 a.m. So I was like, the fact that the editor-in-chief of the Queen's Journal at that time got like so many mistakes wrong in just this like simple email, bad sign.
bad sign. Well, there you go. That's the journalistic standard that that they were.
I was too good for him.
Words.
So, The Godfather.
Tying it all back. How long are we in here?
Yeah, you'll just when you do the description, just say if you want to get to The Godfather, skip to an hour 20.
No.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. Well, you had a big Francis Ford Coppola monologue.
Yeah, I know I did. Sorry.
No, it's more relevant than anything else we've spoken about
I guess
so far.
We did tell the Apocalypse Now story, and we discussed Queen's University.
Yes.
A silly place.
Much like Camelot.
Yeah.
On second thought, let's not go to Camelot.
Let's not go.
It's a silly place.
Let's not go to Queens. If any young people happen to be listening who are maybe applying for universities, let's not go to Queens.
You could do better.
Yeah, go to McGill, because it's probably also all the same issues, but
You'll be in Montreal.
Yeah, you'll have a kind of a fun Emily in Paris style adventure. You know, ooh la la, je mange le baguette.
Ah
right?
oui oui.
Yeah.
Ah, tu parles français aussi.
Oui.
Nous pouvons pratiquer ensemble. S'il te plaît.
Oublier. That's a word.
To forget.
To forget. So I forgot to speak. How to speak French.
Tu oublies qu'on parle français.
Oubliette. That's another one. You know, right? The dungeon, the little hole dungeon.
Yeah.
Because you forget about them.
Yeah,
That's
I have
great.
one.
I know there is an oubliette in the studio.
The Godfather.
Yeah. Okay.
Godfather. So
by Francis Fjord Coppola, right?
I'm Francis Fjord Coppola. Would you like some Swedish meatballs instead of the Italian ones?
That's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah, Francis Fjord Coppola is going to be a big character on the show. Yeah, from now on, the co-host is Alex and Francis Fjord Coppola.
Here we go.
Or Ben and Francis Fjord Coppola. Francis Toyota Coppola is another one. Francis Mazda Coppola.
Francis Mazda Coppola.
Francis Hyundai Coppola.
Yeah.
Francis Tesla Coppola these days. Because he's rich Uncle Moneybags.
Francis
right?
Volkswagen Coppola.
Yeah. Francis Jeep Coppola. These are so stupid. This is the worst podcast in the world.
Francis Cadillac Coppola.
Yeah. You like these. I knew you'd like these dumb car puns, didn't you?
Francis Chevrolet Coppola.
Yeah, Francis Chevy Coppola.
Francis Buick Coppola.
Yeah. There's a lot more car companies.
Yeah. This is, I don't say this lightly, a redacted bit.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, you're right. We're going to stop doing that. We're going to stop doing that.
It's Hyundai Coppola.
I know, that's my favorite. My favorite is Francis Hyundai Coppola. Yeah. Or Francis Kia.
It's
Francis
really
Kia
good.
Coppola.
Have you seen this Hyundai campaign? As an ad man,
Oh,
I noticed these things. But
wah. I hate
it's
it.
so dumb.
It's really bad.
Because it's the most sincere, classic, big auto commercial where it's like, wah means this, wah means that. And it's all this sincere footage of families and shit. And then it's just like, but the core concept, you're not going to make wah a thing. Wah's not going to be zoom zoom. People aren't going to be going, wah.
Stop trying to make wah happen, as they say.
Yeah.
I understand the idea of it, and that introducing, like, it's a Korean car company, right?
Yeah.
And it's introducing a
it's not going to
concept.
take.
I don't think it'll take, and it might even just be purely that in English, like wah is
wah
is like Wario. Yeah.
Wah.
That's what I think.
Wah Luigi.
Yeah. We make wah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here, I got an impression for you. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
This is good. I already basically just did it, but
okay.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
This is great. Okay. This is Wario, right? Or Wario, slipping into a warm bath after a long day. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
I'd prefer if that was their commercials.
Yeah, that'd be funny. They should. Well, Nintendo really sold out with that Mario Brothers movie, so Nintendo sold out as if it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
$1 They're bad people.
They're bad people. Okay. Speaking of some good people for a change, let's talk about some of the people involved in this movie, The Godfather. Finally.
Well, can I say that it was based on a book by Mario Puzo that came out in 1969. Mm-hmm. This movie came out in 1972. Paramount very quickly, before the book even took off, optioned that shit. They were like, get this in the backlog. and got the ball like rolling quickly after, because the book did become like a really big hit.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
So this is kind of like, this is interesting. Like this would have been like, I can't even think of like a recent book that's just like caught fire and then the movie, was made like so soon after, like maybe like Gone Girl or something.
Yeah, that's a good example.
But similar to a movie like that, the trashiest of books, when a good director steps behind the helm, they can make really good movies.
I think Jaws is a good example of that as well.
There you go.
I read that book, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've had experiences like that too, but I can't quite think. Well, I guess 120 Days of Sodom.
Yeah, the classic example. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in Coppola, when he's talking about his collaboration writing the screenplay with Mario Puzo, he's very generous. Well, I don't know what the actual story is, but he's very generous in his sort of,
he speaks highly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Actually, I hope we get aided on soon. Last time I visited him in Rhode Island, he has like a big book that's like basically like Francis Ford Coppola's like production lookbook for The Godfather, and it's like the script, and it's filled with notes, and you see just how like obsessed he was with it, you know, and like dedicated to making this like a cool movie, which just like, we try to make short films from time to time. We put so little thought into them, maybe if we make like a lookbook, it's like a 5-page PDF. This guy, like,
it was it's different. It's a whole different story.
He was built different.
Yeah, he is. They don't make him like Francis. What's another car company? I forgot. Which one that we didn't say?
Mercedes-Benz.
Francis Mercedes-Benz. Francis BMW.
Yeah.
Coppola.
Yeah. But it's funny. Like, he's built different, but at the time, like him, George Lucas, Spielberg,
Scorsese,
they all kind of looked alike.
Well, they're all friends. They all came up together.
And they all had big bushy beards.
Yeah, the director beard. Yeah. There was a good picture of
can't tell them apart.
Of Jordan Peele recently, and he had the kind of bushy Coppola style beard, and it's like, dude, nice. Like, he's officially like director mode.
Yeah. I rewatched Nope not too long ago.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's definitely his best movie for sure.
It drives me crazy how good it is. So Coppola, I think, was a bit of a risky pick. Robert Evans, right? The great Bob Evans, whose famous memoir "The Kid Stays in the Picture" is really worth a read. But even better than reading it, there's a very good documentary about it with him narrating it, and an audiobook of him narrating it. And he has the kind of Trump William Friedkin style, kind of like, and they do a Mr. Show parody of it too, where he's like, oh God, what is it? It's like,
stop citing Mr. Show.
You're right. I shouldn't. But he does this thing in the book where it's like, was it an uphill battle? You bet it was. But was I up for the challenge? You know it. Like that whole thing the whole time, where he's like, Francis had a lot of muxy, but was it going to work out? I didn't know. Did anyone? No. Or something like that, right?
It's very like Troy McClure.
It is very Troy McClure, yeah. And he was this young hotshot, like young executive at Paramount. He was an actor in a couple of movies. I think he's actually in like a Hemingway adaptation, Sun Also Rises. I read this book a long time ago, but
it's a good book.
Yeah.
The Kid Stays in the... I was talking about Sun Also Rises.
I have read that as well, yeah, where he's like...
He's impotent.
Yeah, he's like, oh, but bullfighting gets me hard
in my mind. It's the only thing that does, yeah.
It gets me hard in my mind.
Because his balls get shot off in the war or something.
Yeah, funny.
It's not flat out said, but it's...
Yeah, hilarious book.
Yeah.
Hemingway, funny writer. Laugh a minute. Okay, so he's instrumental in getting this movie made, right? Albert S. Reddy, I actually don't know as much about. The guy who's actually, the producer.
Miles Teller.
Not the studio. Miles Teller himself. If you want to hear more about him, go watch the fucking offer on Paramount Plus.
You fucking sucker.
You Goomba.
Yeah,
okay. It's okay to say Goomba because their Goombas are in Mario, so it's okay.
Yeah, you weren't talking about the Italian slur.
No.
Like when you said Goomba, you were referring to those weird mushroom people.
Yes.
Not necessarily bastards.
No, we're not saying. Okay, I'll just
You can
censor
bleep
it.
that
I'll
out,
bleep it.
yeah.
We're not saying those. We're not just because it's okay to make fun of Italians doesn't mean you get to say those words, Mister. The Queen's Journal's gonna write you up.
Well, what can I say?
Hey, Maron. No, we're not saying those.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad we established that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny, though.
Thank you.
That was funny. That's good. You're very funny with your Italian slurs, you monster.
I can say I'm Romanian.
You're right.
We were founded by Romans.
Yeah, you're right. Great. Okay. And that's how it works.
Still bleep it out, please.
Yeah, you better believe I'm bleeping that out.
Actually, I guess you don't have to bleep out bastards.
I'll leave that in.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the things that Evans and I imagine Ruddy are interested in are finding like an actual Italian-American director. Mob movies weren't really considered. I mean, it wasn't really like a genre like it was after Godfather, right? Paramount had a mafia movie, The Brotherhood, that was directed by who is it? But it stars Kirk Douglas.
Oh,
who is not
a fine Italian actor,
and directed by Martin Ritt, who is also not Italian, and it came out I think in '69, right? So this was their last big like mafia whatever thing, and it wasn't a hit. And part of the reason why they thought is maybe it didn't really have any sense of authenticity to it, which is something that I think the success of The Godfather as a film is this authenticity. Now, whether or not half of this shit is real, right? Whether or not it's actually a Sicilian message, a real life mafia Sicilian message to give somebody a fish
in a vest,
in a bulletproof vest to suggest that they're dead and sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
There really is a sense that this is like a film, portraying this culture made by someone from within the culture.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which Mario Puzo was, gone on the record. It's like not based on anything in his own life. It's just based on research, things like that. Francis Ford Coppola, as far as I know, isn't mafia affiliated.
I don't think so.
But I guess like similar to how you were saying, like businessmen kind of miss the point, or they don't miss the point. They acknowledge the point. Yeah. When it comes to movie, like those satires like Wall Street or Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
This movie, because it is so well made as like a really pop, it's pop art.
It was a box office smash, like as in like the number one movie of the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at the time, shortly after it was released or whatever, for a few years, it was the highest grossing movie ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think like, that inspired kind of a wave of mobster media that maybe wasn't as intelligently thought out as something like The Godfather. Because The Godfather really, when you do look at it, Francis Ford Coppola has said as much. It's a movie. It's so cliche to say, but it is kind of about like this family, right? This immigrant family. And it's a tragedy, like first and foremost. Like all the Godfather movies are just kind of steeped in tragedy. And
guess what? It's also a metaphor for capitalism.
Everything.
You ever think about that?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
I'm thinking about the Queen's Journal and how Godfather is a metaphor for capitalism. But, I think a lot of mobster media and maybe a lot of people who consumed it too kind of missed that point. You know what I mean? It's because it is
right.
It doesn't glorify things, but they look pretty snazzy in those suits. It's pretty cool when they're like sleeping with the fishes and going to the mattresses and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the time in American studio filmmaking where the studios are taking chances on young, new talent,
new
up
Hollywood,
and coming directors, new Hollywood.
Because there was no formula. Anything could have been a hit. It was like ripe for the taking.
Exactly. And some of the greatest movies of all time that were both intelligent and critically and commercially successful all at the same time, if you can believe it.
So rare these days.
Yeah. We're coming out week after week. You know, you look at the run of like American studio pick, not even counting all these great independent things, like just the run of American studio pictures,
big studio movies that
the
got
late
like
60s into the early 80s even.
Critical success, commercial success,
Yeah.
Oscars, like The Exorcist, you know?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that counts. Yeah.
Of course it does.
Yeah, it counts. No, I like to nag William Friedkin because
He's a good nag.
He's so pompous.
Yeah.
William Friedkin for sure. I mean, yeah. Oh, Sorcerer.
But like you'll never see like a huge hit horror film, you know, on that big of a stage, like winning Academy Awards and stuff. I guess until like Get Out.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, the way things are right now, like it's such a funny comparison because, you know, I guess it can again, the kind of like Wikipedia level, which is all we're getting at, the sort of very Wikipedia or even Easy Rider Raging Bulls, that book, like sort of thing. It's like, okay, well, by the mid to late 70s, when we're getting into the real true blockbusters, like Godfather was kind of this blockbuster movie, right?
Yeah, but Jaws is famously
Jaws,
like
and
the
then
first.
Star Wars, and then you're moving into the 80s, right? Where it's like, okay, we need these big tentpole things that are going to make tons and tons of money. We're going to spend ludicrous amounts of money on marketing, tie-ins, and things like that, and we're going to create this, you know, just in time for the like Reagan 80s, you know, this like unstoppable Hollywood commerce machine that, you know, kind of just keeps chugging along. And the way it is now, it's so funny. Even like just movies, the way movies are produced and released now is so different from even the 80s, even the mid 2000s, right? It just. And it's so funny. You hear these interviews with directors who are working with streaming services, which you know might be sort of analogous to some of the studios today, like directors working for Apple Films or Netflix, and the notes that they get from the streaming services, even compared to like a modern day studio notes, it's just so funny, right?
Really?
Where it's like, yeah, there was one thing it was that movie Ghosted with. Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, this like romantic comedy. It looked really bad, right? But the director was talking about it in an interview where he's like, I wanted to open it with this kind of like, you know, 3-minute long whatever shot, like, you know, no dialogue, like this kind of, you know,
cool,
cinematically interesting sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And the streaming service said, well, we're worried about that because, you know, the way that it works on streaming is if the audience feels nothing is happening in the first 30 seconds, then they're going to turn it off.
I hate that. Yeah.
It hurts.
I know.
It hurts. We can't even have like a piece of shit schlock rom-com movie like that have any visual, like
anything remotely interesting.
I don't know.
Though conversely, like on the opposite end of that, I remember watching that movie with Chris Pine where he hangs dong, but he like barely hangs dong. It's called like The Last King or something.
The Outlaw King.
The Outlaw King, yeah.
That's right.
And that opened with this like, you know, very clearly they were trying to do an impressive cinematic thing where it was like one unbroken like tracking shot through all this like thing with like catapults going off, and it just like was unnecessarily like one long shot. It wasn't like a wow, this is so cool. Right. It was like a why are they doing this?
Oh well, that was a funny example the other day on Twitter. People were sharing this. There was, you know, as it always happens, right? Some guy shared a clip from like the new Transformers Beast Wars movie.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, can't wait. And it was one shot. And it's that kind of big fake one shot scene that happens in all of these movies now, where it's like a huge battlefield, all these mechs like fighting each other, swooshing around and whatever. And it was just funny that the guy who posted was like, "This is all like all caps, like this is all one shot. Like, can you believe it? Like, it's so much better than the Michael Bay Transformers. It's so much better than this and blah blah blah." And then everyone's just like, listen, kid. The word shot here.
It's used pretty loosely.
This is not a shot.
Yeah.
There's no camera here. It's
all computer.
Yeah, this is a cartoon. And there, people are like, this looks like a fucking mobile game ad that you're trying to skip on your phone. Like, Beast Wars. Like,
literally, like animated movies. I think those would be some of the easiest to make, like all one shot, which could be an interesting choice if anyone were to kind of do it. Like those God of War remake games, like 2018 and this new one.
Okay.
They're all like kind of designed to always be one shot. Like you open on Kratos and then you never kind of break that.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I'm not like a big one shot guy. I think it's kind of unnecessary. But I think it'd be cool to see an animated film.
Not the way it is now, right? Where now it's the Jurassic Park problem. It's that they think about how they could without thinking about why they should, right? Yeah. They're like, well, look at this fun trick that we can do. Isn't this flashy and interesting? Without any thought behind it.
Yeah.
They'll see
it's immersive.
Yeah, right. They'll see Scorsese's the shot in Goodfellas and the Copacabana, right? And they think that's cool. Like, I want to have that, but they don't think about any, like, why would that fit in the movie?
Yeah.
Why would the one shot be here for this scene?
Yeah.
Right?
Why is Birdman all one shot? Why is 1917?
It's terrible. We talk a lot about like movies and how they're turning into video games or whatever, like video game aesthetics, creeping into cinema. And there are some examples that are great, like Paul W.S. Anderson, not Wes Anderson, and not Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah.
He's
his own man.
The better of the three, the best of the three. Paul W.S. Anderson,
Mr. Mila Jovovich.
Some of his and some of his movies he made for his hot wife Resident Evil franchise, which we'll get to, of course. some of those have some really truly inspired video game like set pieces,
as
right?
they should.
Yeah, and then you think like 1917, which feels like, in video games when you're on a follow mission, you have to follow the character
before the action starts.
Yeah,
and they're just giving you dialogue,
and they're slow, they're walking slow, and you're like,
and the game forces you to walk slow. You're like, come on, let me.
I would like to get to the fireworks factory, and terrible. The movie drove me crazy,
and it's showy, and it like. I think that was the year, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll flog myself, Ben, but I'm taking you with me, you bitch. I think that was the year, like, it won for Best Cinematography, but it was also, like, nominated. It was against stuff like The Lighthouse,
right?
Which, is this beautiful black and white film that looks phenomenal.
It
and,
does.
like, any still in The Lighthouse, like, trumps, not to use that word, but, like, destroys any still from 1917. Ben's looking at it right now. Like,
I'm not looking at it to try to prove you wrong. I just remember because it was Roger Deakins,
who is amazing.
It was amazing,
like,
and this was the year that he finally won, right?
He didn't win for Skyfall. I thought he's won like multiple times.
Oh, he won for Blade Runner 2049 in 1917.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So he's won twice now. But for a long time, he had been nominated without winning. He'd been nominated 16 times.
Yeah, the man deserved to win.
He won on the 14th and 15th nominations.
But not for 1917.
No. Well, I mean, I don't know. It is technically proficient, I guess. And that counts for something.
So, I was correct. It was that same year. Yeah. And that was the controversial year where Parasite won everything that I wound up being flogged for in the past. But no flogging for me today, executioner.
He's just doing his job. I'm the Godfather.
You come to me today on the day my daughter's to be wed, and you ask me to eat your ass. Look how they massacred my ass.
You come to me on the day of my penis enlargement surgery.
Oh, that's the last thing Sonny needs.
Hey, yeah, we read the book.
Yeah, well, there's also references to it in the movie. It's not like explicit, but
Yeah.
you see Sonny's wife like at the wedding at the beginning being like, his dick is so big.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. I've always heard in the book is kind of crass and like more vulgar and whatever. And it's funny just being like, that's the difference. Francis Ford Coppola, he visualized it.
Yeah.
There's no lines of dialogue. He just shows you a bunch of women laughing at the size of his giant penis.
Yeah, that's the Coppola difference. That and Real Dead Animals.
Yes, the real horse head. That's true.
That's a real horse head.
Very quickly before we kind of get into the plot of the movie, which we can kind of, everybody
the
knows.
plot.
We're just going to go boom, boom,
It's a
boom.
mob war.
Yeah. We talked about Coppola, talked a bit about Bob Evans. Did I know it was going to be a hit? I sure didn't. But was it a hit? You bet, baby. Nino Rota.
The music.
And Nino
Rota the music.
Yeah, hey, I gotta. That's good.
Thank you.
That's good. We're gonna be doing a lot of Italian goofing.
The Trilogy of Life was such a big hit. That,
it was. I know.
The people
loved
want.
it.
Yeah. But he did do the score.
Yeah, and I mean it's iconic.
Nino
right?
Rota the score.
Nino. Hey, how about Nino Rota the score? Ah, that's real Joel Edmiston. Yeah, there are some good ones like that. He's good. It's funny that I love it. Like it was fun seeing his face. when you do the dumb joke and then you're like, oh, it's funny. Okay, Nino Rota the score, as we say, and it's beautiful. I mean, well, certain themes I think are tied to the film that they come from in a way that you can't really separate it. Like I don't think people necessarily play the Star Wars music at their wedding. maybe the Cantina theme.
Some people
That's
do.
pretty. Yeah, nerds, right?
Or that song in Jabba's Palace and the like remasters where they add that like weird CGI band.
That's
that like weird furry guy comes in.
Awful. Yeah. Cy Snoodles. Cy Snoodles is the name of the singer with the lips.
Good.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
I see a lot of lawbreakers in the audience.
I see a lot of long-lipped aliens.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers.
Hey, back to
watch
Wall
that
Street.
scene. You know what he's talking about in that scene?
Masturbation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know why I said it that way. Masturbation.
Yeah, because you were excited.
Hey.
The Godfather theme, though obviously, I mean, you hear it, you think of the movie, no doubt. But the Godfather theme is interesting that it's actually people play this at their weddings. People listen to that score separate from the movie, and that isn't always the case for and that's I think what makes a truly iconic score.
Absolutely.
The score from Forrest Gump even is a really funny one where multiple times in my life I've encountered people who, including my dad, maybe, who listen to that music like and kind of have their own relationship with it outside of the film.
Right.
Like obviously the film is kind of always connected, but and I think that's true of a lot of Nino Rota scores. He did a lot of scores for Fellini as well. I think, and all sorts of Italian films as well.
I'll tell you where else it gets played. I'm an insecure, anxious person in general.
No.
But one of the biggest places that trigger insecurity are guitar stores. And I remember, because, you go in and you want to buy a guitar, and if you're kind of shitty at guitar, as I am, they're like, play it, see how you like it, and you're like, okay, I'll play it, but can you like go away? Like, I don't want you to hear me play. I don't want to be judged that I'm playing like, I don't know, Come As You Are or something. I've come a long way. I can do chords and I could do real riffs.
Yeah.
But I remember being younger and going to Steve's music store on Queen Street, and
Shout out Steve,
wanting to check out some guitars, and then there was this other dude somewhere else with his, like, I don't know, girlfriend and a friend, and he was checking out like metal guitars, and he picks one up and he plays the Godfather theme because it's quite simple to play on guitar. It's like one of the first things people learn that you could like learn on tabs. And then one of the guitar store clerks was like, we got the Godfather in today. Because they probably hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it was out of earshot of this guy and his like friends, but I heard it and I was so like humiliated for him through osmosis, you know? Like,
that's great.
Yeah.
You know, anytime that somebody, like someone who works at a store, humiliates you, you just have to, or is making fun of you,
yell at them.
Yeah. Just remember, you're better than them, and they're worms and beneath your feet, and
you're
swish
dirt.
them. Yeah, exactly.
You're dirt.
Exactly. No. From some customer service experience myself, just remember that it's not personal. They have to shit on the customer at some point to get through the day.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And even if you have a really nice interaction with and this is for all my paranoid listeners out there, if you have a really nice interaction with someone at a coffee shop, for example, and you're like, oh, I think I made a nice impression on that person, as soon as you leave, they're like, ha, 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 that guy had a small dick. Or like, like that's where all my small dick friends are.
Well, your paranoid small dick friends. Yes, we are laughing at you.
Yeah, but listen, it's all good. You know what I mean? It's going to be fine. We don't all have to be Sonny Corleone. We can be Michael Corleone.
They need, like you said, they need to do it. To quote Spoon, that's the way we get by.
Oh, yeah.
We get by.
I used to really like that song. I used to listen to that all the time. Okay. One other person we got to talk about is Gordon Willis, the cinematographer.
Yeah.
The cinematographer.
Yes.
Right.
He did a great job.
Thank you.
No, he did a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Gordon Willis. So one of the things that I think, we don't know anything about cinematography really, right?
I know it involves cameras and lights.
Yeah, spices. The spice melange. But definitely one of the most famous cinematographers, Gordon Willis. I think when you watch this movie, it's you can even the layman can understand right away. There is something very visually interesting about even just the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
Of how dark the film is visually.
Yeah. The 4K we rented looks great too.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
the darks are dark.
Yes, a programming note. I went out to rent the 4K ultra high definition Blu-ray, and it looked great.
And like that opening scene, how it cuts from the outdoor wedding, which is very bright, vibrant.
Yes, almost like washed out. How sunny it is out there. Yeah.
To his like smoky, dark, just cavernous office.
There are many shots, and this is the chiaroscuro light, painting and technique. It's like a Rembrandt, right? Was a master of darkness and so on. Yeah. I can say that with authority, even though I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I do like Rembrandt, and you should all check out Rembrandt. This is
at the Rijksmuseum.
This is a plug for a little known painter, Rembrandt. Yeah. There are scenes, in particular, the scenes at the beginning when people are coming up to Don Corleone to ask for favors and to wish him well and so on, where it's an actor, maybe a few actors, and the background is completely pitch black.
Their faces are almost like disembodied faces in the darkness.
It is so moody. It's so great. It kind of instantly establishes the sort of tone in the difference in this life of this dual family that you have, right? Your actual family and then your familia, the light and the dark that is inside your soul as a Don, as a Godfather. So here's just a little bit from Wiki for you. Willis's friend, cinematographer Conrad Hall, named him, quote, the Prince of Darkness. But Willis himself preferred to talk in terms of visual relativity, saying, I like going from light to dark, dark to light, big to small, small to big, right? And this is a quote from him talking about The Godfather. You can decide this movie has got a dark palette, but you can't spend 2 hours on a dark palette. So you've got this high-key Kodachrome wedding going on. Now you go back inside and it's dark again. You can't, in my mind, put both feet into a bucket of cement and leave them there for the whole movie. It doesn't work. You must have this relativity. Francis Ford Coppola said of Willis, quote, he has a natural sense of structure and beauty, not unlike a Renaissance artist. And he praised him for his capacity to use painterliness to define not just the look, but the meaning and the feel of the film. And this is another quote from Coppola, I think, from 2004. Oh, no, this is from Willis in 2004. He said, I think speaking about cinema today, or at the time, I'm delighted that people can fly, dogs can talk, and anything destructive can be fashioned on the screen. But much of what's being done lacks structure or taste. And this is sort of what we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. As I've asked in the past, can anyone give me the definition of a camera? It's a tool, a means to an end. So is light, and everything else you can pile on your back. They're all meant to transpose the written word into moving pictures that tell a story. Okay, well, obviously. Duh.
Yeah.
Stupid thing to say.
We went to film school.
Yeah, idiot. Gordon Willis did a lot of other work. He worked with James Bridges a lot, which is maybe not the number one reference point for most people, but he shot a bunch of Woody Allen movies.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, including Annie Hall and Manhattan. And Manhattan, right, is, you know, if anyone is going to point to the visually interesting Woody Allen movie, well, I don't know. Listen, we'll talk about Woody Allen when we get to the Woody Allen verse.
Allen verse.
Every single one of his films is connected. Manhattan is the one that gets the accolades for its visual design. It's black and white cinematography. Yeah.
Nice.
So, well, and Husbands and Wives is pretty cool, but I don't think that was him. That was somebody else. Yeah. So, The Godfather. How does it start? We come to America.
Well, it's basically the story of, you know, a mob family. It's a succession. It's about Waystar Royco.
Yeah.
No, it's this family, and a mob war kind of happens, and Al Pacino, Michael Corleone, he is a civilian. He went to the army. He says to Kay, his girlfriend at the time, Diane Keaton, that's my family, that's not me. And it's basically, you know, through a series of misfortunate events, him kind of sliding into that life, into that role, kind of assuming Marlon Brando's position as the Don by the end of the movie. And, you know, forsaking a lot of his previous values and stuff like that. And, you know, my experience with The Godfather, I had this movie on DVD when I was in my early teens, watched the shit out of it, you know, like really loved it. Not because I was caught up like in the gangster thing. I was just like, it's so solid. It's just such a solid, airtight movie.
It really is. And yeah. I think, like, again, we've said everyone who is listening to this has seen The Godfather probably a couple times. But, like, when you sit down and watch it, and not, like, just seeing scenes of it on TV or something, but, like, watch the full movie, you know, like, it's easy for it to think, oh, this is overrated. And, I mean, of course it is overrated just by virtue of being
everything's
the best movie.
Overrated.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like Citizen Kane and whatever else.
But it's solid.
It's really good.
It's
It's really good.
To me, there's nothing I would change. I mean, you know, Francis Ford Coppola hasn't changed anything. Like, sure, is the fidelity getting better? Yeah, 4K, 8K, 16K. Who gives a shit? The core...
Special K. Calvin Klein.
Ketamine.
Yeah.
All the actual meat on the bone and the bone itself is just so good. It's so tasty.
Yeah,
it's good fucking marrow.
It's a nice big plate of gabagool.
And I only own this one on DVD. I didn't have the other ones. So this is The Godfather that I'm most familiar with.
Same.
But I really like the way 2 complements it.
It's the perfect sequel.
Yeah.
It really is, yeah.
And
again, it produced in a time when, like, the whole sequelitis thing didn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason it's the the first movie, the first sequel to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
It's like sequels weren't really even that naming convention, right? Like calling it The Godfather Part II in the Roman numerals and stuff. Like it was not very, I don't think very popular at the time. There weren't a lot of like sequels to films like this, right? Yeah.
Just iconic in so many ways, so many iconic scenes, so many iconic quotes. Make him an offer you can't refuse. Bada boom, bada bing.
Again, when he says, "I'm the Godfather," I'm the Godfather.
Look at me, I'm the Godfather.
I'm the Godfather.
I'm Manja la merde.
Yeah, Manja la merde. No, there's all sorts of quotes. One of my favorite Al Pacino quotes too is when because it's young Pacino. It's one of his first movies, right? Panic at Needle Park and a couple other things, but it's pretty early on. And the studio didn't want to hire Pacino. They didn't want to hire Brando, right? Because Brando's, this perception that his career was in a slump or whatever when he was still working in lots of good movies into the 60s, late 60s and stuff. But, and Pacino just, it was like an unknown quantity, I guess. They wanted Robert Redford. And I think in the book, Michael is maybe
played by Robert Redford.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think he's written to be like more of a kind of a handsome Robert Redford type.
Right, yeah.
And young Pacino, right? I mean, we were doing our like, oh yeah, hooah,
yeah.
Hey, Charlie.
That's old Pacino.
That's old Pacino, yeah. Young Pacino's a whole different thing where he's kind of like a really kind of, yeah. That's not me. I don't know. I can't really do it, but you know how he sounds.
Well, that's not me, Kay.
Yeah,
that's my family.
I'm the Godfather.
Kevin, put down.
Yes, Scott Mosher.
Actually, I don't know if you heard.
Scott Mosher, doesn't it? Yeah.
Kevin Smith came out and said he's been really going through shit.
Oh, I did.
He was checked into.
I didn't watch the video, but
It's because he listened to our Cop Out episode.
We were making fun of him.
And checked into.
No, I read an article about it, and I know we were joshing and we're giving Kevin Smith a little noogie, But one thing I want to stress, well, aside from the fact that we did go see him in real life.
Yeah, we gave the money.
Is that, as corny a dude as he might be and as bad as the films might be in retrospect or currently.
Sexual abuse is bad.
Oh my God. Well, not just that. That makes it sound like it's stupid. Like, no, I mean, I reading that, I really, I feel for this guy. Like it's very difficult to talk about anything like that or about mental health and abuse in general. So, Kevin Smith, if you're out there,
power to you.
We do support you despite making fun of your movies.
Yeah.
I have and always will have a fondness.
Of course, me too.
And an appreciation for Kevin Smith, the guy.
Yeah.
Even if he's annoying,
It was almost as heartbreaking as when he posted that photo of him crying.
Oh, well, those are very funny.
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then she pwns my taint. I pwn her taint and whatever. It's great. 20 years in and we're still fucking like we're teenagers.
Oh, man. The Mandalorian finale made me cry like a baby, dude.
Did we just bring this up to then just make fun of him more?
No.
We
love you, Kevin. We love you,
Kevin. Let's leave it at that. Mwah. So, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, young Al Pacino. Yeah, my favorite line I think is when he's like, I don't want to be the Godfather. I want to be a dentist. Remember the elf from
Rudolph.
Yeah,
it was Rudolph.
I want to be a dentist. Who else is in this movie? We got Robert Duvall.
Oh, I'll tell you who's in this fucking movie.
Okay, yeah. Who do you like?
Franco motherfucking Cheedy.
Franco Cheedy, baby.
Cheedy Corner. Welcome to Chatting Cheedy.
Chatting Cheedy.
With Ben and Al.
Yeah, Ben and Al.
It's so great, coming out of the trilogy of life, all this Pasolini movies, growing such an affinity for Franco Cheedy and Netto Divoli, being Pasolini regulars. Neither were in Salo, but c'est la vie. And then here he is in the Sicily sequence when after Michael kind of gets involved, and because he's a civilian, he's the one they get to that he volunteers to shoot McCluskey.
It's his idea.
Yeah. McCluskey and Sollozzo.
In very, very briefly, what I'll say is I think my favorite scene of the film, and probably the best constructed sort of individual moment. I mean, the ending montage, or kind of cross-cutting with the him consolidating his power and killing his enemies, in the baptism.
Yeah.
And one thing I mentioned, and I'll just bring up really quick, is that when Coppola was working on the film, and producers or studio heads or executives or whatever were still did not believe in him, and he was really fighting for his life, like pretty much every day on this movie for a while. When they were thinking, oh, this guy doesn't have it, it's not going to work out.
Real horse heads.
yeah, really, Francis. When the bigwigs saw his cut of that scene, they were like, okay, we get it.
Oh, it's a great scene.
Yeah, this is going to be
the sound of like the train kind of going on in the background.
It's so good.
That's a great scene.
And honestly, the special effect, just in general, it's one of the best. I don't care if it's realistic or anything, but it's one of the best gun shots in the movie. Assassinations, death scenes, anything.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, Sterling Hayden too. It's great. It's such a great, very cool casting choice to put him in for that. He's so good as that Officer McCluskey character or whatever.
Yeah, McCluskey's a real POS.
Yeah.
I frisked him. I frisked 1,000 young punks.
Yeah, that's a great line. Anyway, Franco Chidi.
Jack D. Ripner.
Yes, yeah. They're stealing our precious bodily fluids.
Great to see that guy again. But yeah, it's just cool seeing Franco Chidi just like in the background talking to Al all the time.
Cheating.
He says that famous line, Sicilian women are more dangerous than shotguns.
Yeah.
And he's humorously always got like a double barrel shotgun and a belt of bullets. Right? He's a bodyguard, yeah. But even, this is one of the weirdest things that like always stuck out to me when I was watching it when I was younger. Al Pacino just goes to Sicily and instantly falls head over heels for this woman and is like, okay, see you later, Diane Keaton, marries her. But then at the wedding, Franco Chidi's still got his shotgun and his like belt of shotgun shells.
Can't take the day off.
It's great to fucking see him.
And it's good that they hired him because there is an attempt on Michael's life and his bride gets blown up.
She's in the car. She's like, Michael, look at me. I drive the car.
Honk, honk, beep, beep.
Come on.
Kaboom. Yeah. It's too bad.
Although they don't credit him in the cast at the end. That then credit scroll.
I mean, it was a weird sort of, it was a pretty short credit scroll. I mean, it's odd.
How many people are in this movie?
Yeah, lots of great character actors. I mean, Abe Vigoda, right?
Abe Vigoda, because he's goated.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he is goated, isn't he?
Yeah, as Tessio.
Yes, Tessio. I really like that last bit with him, right? Where
it's sad.
Yeah, he's like, can you get me off the hook, Tom?
Yeah.
Robert Duvall as Tom Hagen, right, is great in this movie. Probably the most business savvy and maybe you could even say smartest of the bunch, but he's not ever going to rise beyond consigliere because he's not Sicilian. He's not part of the family, technically. James Caan, of course, is the hothead Sonny.
Big dick,
hothead.
Yeah.
That's a winning combo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we all know what happens to him. He gets shot up.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Look how they yassified my boy.
We were joking that when like they do that hit attempt on Don Corleone, Marlon Brando's character, that he's like he has a very Shakespearean death. He takes a while to go down, and he's dramatic, and he's like, look how they massacred me.
Yeah.
Look how they massacred my ass.
Look how they massacred. Look at Ari Aster's work.
Look how they Astor-pieced my ass.
Oh yeah, I'm in the zone looking up the cast of The Godfather. How could we forget John Cazale?
I never forget him.
Not a big role.
He has a bigger role in the second one.
A big role in the second one, yeah.
But yeah. He was like in like 5 movies, and they were all like nominated for Academy Awards.
They're all great. Yeah. I think I know them all. It's Godfather 1, 2. It's Conversation. It's Dog Day Afternoon and Deer Hunter.
Yeah,
that's crazy. what a run. And Deer Hunter, I don't know. I'm not as confident about that as a classic necessarily, but certainly a big and influential and iconic film. So yeah, way to go. He's also married to Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he should have earned the Lifetime Achievement Oscar for bagging 70s Meryl Streep.
Yeah. Yeah, and then dying of cancer. That's kind of the trade-off, unfortunately. Yeah.
She caused the cancer.
You can't have it all.
She's radioactive.
Can't have it all. She's not radioactive. Hey, only in I'd name a performance of hers where she's bad, but she never is.
Yeah. Fair enough.
No, I'm sure we could find one. Yeah, and then a bunch of other character actors and stuff in this. Well, I mean,
they all do great.
Diane Keaton.
Shout out to the guy who plays Clemenza. I forget his name, but he's really great.
Richard Castellano.
And he'll be back in Godfather 2.
Oh, good. I'm excited.
But not Abe Vigoda. Treacherous.
Oh, he's not in Godfather 2.
He's
apparently.
not?
No, sorry. He's actually not in very many movies at all. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, what do you even... I know we took a long time to even start talking about The Godfather, but what do you even say about it? Like, I wanted to do this as a franchise because I thought it kind of fit into sort of the trajectory that we're going, and also wanted to do something that more people have seen after doing what is probably the least people have seen with the Pasolini films. To make it a bit more accessible for everybody.
Accessibility is important. One for them, one for us.
Exactly. But what do you even say that hasn't been said a million times? What do you say about the movie that hasn't been developed into a Paramount Plus streaming service starring Miles Teller, the guy with the world's most punchable face?
I'll tell you what
Top Gun Maverick excluded because he's actually really good in that.
I'll tell you what I say and how I criticize this film.
Okay.
And it's by no fault of the film itself. But it is unfortunate that it was co-opted by the Spike TV crowd,
just perennially playing on TV.
Yeah. And just heavily edited.
Yeah.
And Spike TV's Guys Weekend, where we're going to play all the Godfathers and all the Star Wars. Because that's what fucking guys are into. But no swearing or violence.
That's so funny. To watch the Godfather movie it's a 3-hour experience. To chop it up into commercials, you're looking at 5+ hours. Yeah. Maybe we can talk about this more when we get to the next week's episode with Godfather 2. But one of the big successes of this movie's shelf life, or staying power in the zeitgeist, is that it obviously played on TV constantly, but The Godfather 1 and 2 were edited together into one long chronological movie called Godfather, the complete novel or something like that. Not the complete novel, but it's I think that's the Outsider's subtitle. But yeah, and it's funny. I've never seen that full thing because Godfather 2 is 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So whatever, 6.5, almost 7 hours of Godfather edited together chronologically and then put on TV, presumably with commercials, is a full day of watching TV.
It is, and I don't like that.
No, I don't either.
I think it's unnecessary because I know you were saying you don't remember the very end of The Godfather Part II, which is, I think, amazing.
What happened? Just tell me what
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, what happened? I forgot.
Who cares?
Who cares?
So the movie ends with a flashback where it's Michael telling his family that he's joined the army.
Oh.
And the only person who supports his choice is Fredo.
Oh, right.
And then
I remember that. They're all at the dinner table,
And then they leave because Vito shows up and they go to... And Michael's sitting alone at the dinner table, right? And Fredo's the only one who supported his choice to not join the family business and stuff like that.
So good.
So that's a flashback.
Yeah.
And then the first movie obviously ends the way it does. A beautiful ending with them closing the door on Kay, him lying to her face.
Oh, it's so good.
It's tragic. They're just both two amazingly tragic moments, and they're beautiful. if you did that and you edited together chronologically.
Well, I don't know if I again, I haven't seen it, but I imagine that flashback is probably not.
They kept that as the ending.
I would think that would probably
but
still be the ending.
that still diminishes the power of the first film's
yeah.
ending.
Oh yeah, totally.
Which is one of the most iconic endings of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the whole idea of taking all of the Robert De Niro stuff from Godfather 2 and putting it as its own full movie at the beginning, completely disrupting the rhythm and the parallel storytelling is
silly.
Like, yeah, it's a financial thing. It's like a studio. Like how many hours of ads can we sell if we make a 7-hour long content block
instead of just airing them back to back?
Well, yeah, and so I don't think the Godfather, like that version of it, I don't think that
canon.
I don't think it. Yeah, it's not canon, and I don't think it plays very often anymore. And now, people still watch movies on TV channels that show ads, but most of the time that people don't even bother with that. Because there's premium movie channels, there's streaming services, blah, blah, blah. So you don't really have to do that. You could just, or whatever. But The Godfather, it's just so funny that even today, it is still on TV pretty reliably all the time.
Yeah.
I caught the tail end of it when I was visiting my parents recently on TV. And it's just always,
And it's on every major list of like the best films of all time, and it always will be, because it's like we said, it's a critical success, it's an audience success. Everybody fucking loves The Godfather, and it's frustrating because it is an excellent film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's really easy to take for granted all the like iconic bits of the movie, and think, especially with Scorsese's work afterwards, The Sopranos, of course, and a lot of other mob and like mafia films and TV shows and so on, that there was nothing like that before The Godfather. And I know that sounds obvious, but it's its own genre of movie, basically. Yeah. And its own like type of filmmaking, and it's very, I find it difficult to sort of try to imagine what it would have been like to watch it in 1972 when it came out, having only seen the studio made mafia and mob movies, that the old ones from the 30s that would have all been under the Hays Code, where the moral ambiguity is present, is smuggled in interesting ways, but for the most part, they have to. It's
pretty black and white.
Yeah.
They get their comeuppance.
Oh, Scarface is good. The original Scarface is really good.
Well, we'll get to it.
But things like that, and then some of the clunkier ones, like some, like I said, the Brotherhood or whatever, which I haven't seen, but I imagine is a bit of a bore. And I think also what it would have been like for like young Italian American viewers as well. Like I watched a making of documentary, and the great actor John Turturro talks about it, and he saw it when he was a young guy, like with his family, when the weekend it came out or whatever. They had
Turturro, his sister, who's in The Sopranos.
Yes, of course. Yes, yeah, great character, Janice. Oof. Mauron. But he's talking about it, and he's sitting there watching the movie and immediately just like hypnotized by it, because even though he does not have any ties to the mafia, it's not anything like that, it's the cultural specificity that you can feel in every bit of this movie. Like, even, I mean, this is an obvious example, but that scene when what's his name, the guy we like, the big guy,
fat guy, Fat Clemenza,
Clemenza, when he's showing Michael his trick to making the sauce, it's, just little things like that. Or the way that the wedding is staged and shot in a kind of a documentary realism sort of way. Not quite. There's a couple of kind kind of camera shots there that sort of use that style. But all these little tiny details, that I think as an Italian viewer you would pick up on, and especially at a time when there just weren't movies like that.
Mm-hmm.
That one of the things they mentioned in that making of documentary is that a lot of Italian characters weren't played by Italians.
Yeah.
They were played by Jewish people and other characters, and they would do a very broad accent. And it's funny that we are doing these broad accents now, of course.
Oh yeah, big time.
Now that it's okay, of course. As the decree came down from the High Court of Canada, and it's okay to do an Italian accent. They would be this very stilted, like ba-ba-da-bee, boo-ba-da-boo, and it's this like approximation, this idea of what like an Italian talks like. And to actually have this movie that's full of Italians, even if James Caan and Marlon Brando aren't Italian, I think was really instrumental to the success of this movie.
Marlon Brando, man, one of the greatest mob performances, outthroned, I think, only by John Travolta and Gotti.
Oh yeah, that's great. New York City, baby, the greatest city in the fucking world.
I own this fucking city. I'm John Gotti.
Great performance.
No, Marlon Brando, apparently a real prankster. The scene where they carry his stretcher up back into the house when he comes back from the hospital, he loaded it up with weights.
Very funny.
So he was really heavy for those poor people to lug up the stairs.
It's just a prank, bro.
I fucking pranked you.
It's just
welcome to MTV Punk'd.
That's better. Yeah, that's good. Marlon Brando is really good in this, and of course he won the Oscar for it.
They both Marlon Brando and Al Pacino boycotted that Oscar ceremony.
Right.
Marlon Brando, he got
Sashing Littlefeather.
Yes, to go accept his award. And then Al Pacino was pissed off that he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Yeah. And he was like, supporting?
Yeah, him, Duvall, and Caan were all nominated in that category.
Crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Pacino who cares about the Oscars? Yeah. But Pacino definitely deserves the lead. It's a leading performance.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't even necessarily say Brando doesn't deserve that, even if his screen time is lesser, right? But they are the two leads.
They're leads.
It is, exactly. And, Brando is really good in it. The cotton balls in his mouth and all that other junk. But it's a good performance.
I'm the orange man.
Yeah. And
oranges.
Yeah. The oranges symbolize danger.
Harbingers of death.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
No, it's not.
I can't do it. Well, it's better. I can't do it, man. Yeah. But except for saying, I'm the Godfather.
I'm the fucking Godfather. I'm the Godfather. I'm the
Godfather. What was I going to say? You know what it is, too, in that, because, that first scene with the guy saying, I come to America, etc. And his response, very powerful. You kind of establish what kind of guy he is, right? Mm-hmm. But the performance really kind of kicks in, I think, after a couple of cycles of people coming in, and when the Frank Sinatra character comes in, right?
Johnny Fontaine,
and that's when he's like act like a man, you know. But then
what's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you? And when he makes fun of him, and that because I know this is like it's just a minor difference, really, but it shows this range, I think. That because if he was just a one note kind of like, right, always at the same sort of level. When he's making fun of him crying like, boo, like that whole thing.
I like the moment where they bring him back and he kind of wakes up from his coma and they explain that like Sollozzo and McCluskey are dead. And then he asks for Michael, and then they tell him like Michael's in hiding because he was the one who did the hit. And he's just so sad and disappointed, like he wanted better
he does that little hand
Yeah,
wave,
like a
like
meek
get out of
little-
my face.
yeah.
Yeah, and he turns over.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah,
It's good. It's a good movie.
it is a
Good
good movie.
little underrated indie
Hidden
picture.
gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diamond in the rough.
Yeah. We unearthed this quirky
Yeah.
70s gem just for you.
How many severed horse heads out of 5 do you give this film?
Well, I'm not going to be a little letterboxed prick, hot take machine asshole. I'm just going to say it's a great movie. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5
Yeah.
horse heads. And I'm going to say also its reputation as one of the greatest films ever made, while being maybe a little overblown just by nature of, something being the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
It truly is goated
Yeah.
and not bloated. A lot of times it's goated and bloated. I know it's a long movie. It's not bloated.
Mm-hmm.
Not an ounce of fat on the movie. It's
Usually,
goated.
when I was younger, I found the Sicily sequences drag, but now
Me
that I was
too,
just
yeah.
like eyeing Franco Chidi the whole time, like it kind
We
of
were
flew
so
by,
excited.
yeah.
We were really excited.
Chad and Chidi.
Yeah, Chad and Chidi.
No, I'm not going to joke around about it. I too give this 5 severed horse heads out of 5.
Yeah.
There's no sense being like, mincing words. It's
Don't mince.
as far as like, again, American cinematic pop art goes, this is as good as it gets,
Yeah, pop art. I mean, I know what you mean
in
when
the
you
sense
say
that it's like,
popular. Yeah,
and
mainstream.
just, yeah, and like easily consumable.
I know what you mean.
like,
I know what you mean. I mean, it is. It is
Yeah.
that. It is that. No, you're right. It's really good. I don't know if you haven't seen The Godfather. Like, what are you doing? Go
Yeah.
watch The Godfather. Right.
Well, we're gonna go to Milestones after this to celebrate a bunch of milestones we hit.
Yeah. The podcast platform that we use informs us of milestones, how many
Yeah.
downloads, and so on. And they say milestones.
Yeah, they
right?
do. Yeah.
And we were going to go to the chain restaurant Milestones, but apparently it closed.
Yeah, the one like remotely accessible one in the city closed. So we were like, what's another restaurant that starts with M?
There's a Moxie's.
There's a Moxie's. We're going to Mandarin.
We're going to Mandarin
We're gonna
Buffet.
stuff our dirty fucking faces
Yeah.
with so much chow mein.
It's going to be great. We're going to go and we're going to celebrate not so much the success of the podcast, although it has been successful
Yeah.
by our metric.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, it could be more.
Yeah,
It
well-
can always be better.
Listen, we'll tell you like it is.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a lot better than we thought we would be, like 6 or 7 months in.
Yeah.
We're having fun doing it.
We are having fun.
We're going to keep doing it.
We are going to keep doing it.
We're over halfway of where we'd like to be when we reach the point that, we'd start like a Twitter or an Instagram to try to engage more with our listeners.
It's all about engagement.
Yeah. And then I'd say we're like about a third of the way to possibly, figuring out a way where we could create more regular bonus content.
Yes. OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. I'm obviously talking about OnlyFans and the Twitch sister channel where we do video game franchises.
Yeah.
So
Fuck
excited
off.
for that.
Oh my God.
So
my God.
all that being said, give us, if you've been listening and you've been enjoying the show, give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
It helps other people discover us through the algorithm. Give us a good rating on whatever platform you use. Spotify, Apple, Google. We're on all of them.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully we'll round out the year with some social media accounts.
I hope so.
And we'll
We've got some exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the schlock. I know we just did 2 masterpieces in a row.
Yeah. Well, even the schlock we have is probably going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's you're gonna like it.
Yeah. Eventually, we're going to punish ourselves again.
Oh my
Paranormal
God.
Activity style.
You have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much we're like riding. It's like that line from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We're riding the crest of a high and beautiful wave, and if you stand out in like San Francisco or whatever, you could see where the wave peaked and crashed or something.
That's us.
Because it's gonna get bad, and then I don't think we're gonna like see the sunlight for a long time.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, we also are going to line some things up with some theatrical releases, trying to get some buzz off of that. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I think it was really nice to just come over and watch a great movie this afternoon, and just relax. I mean, how many times have you seen it? Who knows? It's just
quite possibly like over 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Way more than me, I would think. But
I live my life by this movie. You kidding me? Look at me.
The lessons I've learned from The Godfather, you wouldn't believe.
Hell
Number
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Beat your wife with a belt. It's
Always,
more effective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Alex doesn't do that.
No, I don't have belts.
He doesn't wear a belt, and he's a non-violent man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get beaten up, most likely, by belts.
Yeah. I don't know. I could probably beat you up. I've got weight on you. That's not what the show's about.
No.
Yeah. So enjoy the Godfather episode where we, I would say, briefly touch on the film.
Yeah. That's
okay. But, what are we going to do? Maybe Godfather 2 we'll talk a little bit more about it because it is not necessarily less iconic.
Yeah.
Than I think actually maybe it is a little less iconic, right?
Yeah. It has iconic moments.
Of course it does.
Sure.
Of course it does. But it's there might because of that there might be maybe a little bit more to talk about in terms of the actual film.
Agreed.
We'll see.
I think I've only seen Godfather Part 2 like 3 times compared to the
handful of times.
30.
And I've never seen the third one.
Nah.
Despite several attempts at watching it.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad, it just didn't work out. So yeah, we're gonna go to Mandarin Buffet right now.
I'm gonna have, I think, 3 plates of food and 2 plates of dessert.
That's pretty good. That's you're getting your money's worth.
Them's not rookie numbers.
Yeah, you gotta pump those numbers up. You gotta go get to the that really bad sushi bar they have there.
16 plates.
At the Mandarin bar, there's a Matthew McConaughey DJ at the Mandarin bar.
Yeah.
And he's like, I see a lot of lawbreakers in the audience tonight.
All right.
Yeah, you're not allowed to put those 3 items on the same plate. That's gotta be, you gotta have a plate of each.
And what did you do after they refused to keep serving you? We went fishing. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, does that sound like a man who had all that he could eat?
Who had all that he could eat? We got that Simpsons reference in there. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, this is a long episode. I'm not going to enjoy editing it. No, I will enjoy editing it. You know why? Because it's going to be like sitting down and watching The Godfather again.
Because you're not going to edit it.
Because I have to.
It all goes in.
No, I have to. I got it every little bit and piece. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening, and please continue listening. We're going to keep making the show.
Yeah, it's actually bleeding us dry now that we upgraded our plans. So, tell the antisocial film nerds in your life, and hopefully we'll be doing big things in the year to come.
And last on the Coppola front, Dementia 13, it's good. Twixt, it's good. Rain People, it's good. But you know what?
We get it.
No, you know what? If you're going to watch an extra film in between now and Godfather 2, watch The Conversation. Even if you've seen it, do yourself a favor. Sit down and watch The Conversation. It's the best movie.
Sounds boring. Sounds just like a bunch of people talking. Yakety yak, yak.
If I wanted to hear women talking, I'd go to the frickin' hair salon.
You go to see women talking.